Welcome in, everybody. This is the One Up Yours podcast for Friday, July the 11th. We're getting ready for E3 next week. This is Garnet. I'm here running the show by myself. Andrew's off on vacation.
Yeah, so if it sounds kind of weird, sorry.
Hey, yeah. I think it's all right, man. The machine, all the needles and everything else seem to be in the right spot. I mean, I don't seem to be clipping too much. I'll turn this down a little bit.
You adjusted the vacuum tube properly?
Adjusting the vacuum tubes properly. Everything is in place. That's Shane Bettenhausen. He's here with me. And Phil Kohler, our news editor, is also here today. And then in the fourth chair, because John's off, like once you go on the Today Show, you can't stoop to come on these
small fries.
He was seen lunching with Meredith Vieira.
Dude, she was,
at the Ivy.
She was hot for him.
She was
definitely hot for him. She was like, yes, Mr. John Davison. Pleasure having you.
She was like, you turned out okay, Johnny.
Yeah. So anyway, we have none other than the review department's Mr. Anthony Gallegos.
Hello.
Is this your One Up Yours debut, Mr. Gallegos?
Yeah, it is.
Excellent.
He's another member of the, you're not part of the kids table, but you're part of the kid generation.
He'll be on the kids table eventually.
Yeah,
yeah? Is the kids table the code word for One Up FM?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's what Shane and Garner refer to it as the kids table.
I don't know. I mean, I think One Up FM just sounds a little flat to me. I don't know. A kids table
sounds fun.
It sounds fun. Didn't you always want to be at the kids table when you're at like there's a point where you don't want to be at the kids table, but as soon as you're off the kids table, you're like, fuck, I wish I was still at the kids table.
I've been back at the kids table in the last 5 years, which is fun.
You were there for 2 weeks in a row on One Up FM.
Well, no, we're not. I didn't mean the proverbial kids table. I meant like our actual kids table at like a big family event, because there are enough people who are way older than me, so I'm still a kid. That's all.
David was looking down his nose at us about that. I'm totally down with the kids table.
Sounds condescending.
It's not condescending.
The kids table is awesome because
it's a little condescending.
It's endearing.
It's endearing. It's cute. It's
but
clever.
I just got used to it. I'm not going to fight it.
I mean, there is obviously a generational gap.
Well, yeah,
between us.
both of you kids didn't know who Grace Jones was, so obviously you're kids.
Can you explain?
I still don't know who Grace Jones is.
Look it up.
See, the good part about sitting at the kids table, like, tell me if this is not the way it went. Like, maybe my Thanksgiving dinner was different, but kids table was cool because you could sneak out with the football and go start, screwing around in the backyard, having a good time, while everyone was still sitting at the table at finishing dinner. Whatever, you're like, we're gonna throw football,
right? And usually the family dinners turn into like a giant argument about sex and religion,
and you're out of there.
Yeah,
you're like, screw this, screw you guys.
I want to go to Thanksgiving at Shane's. Shane's where it all boils down to sex and religion.
Well,
doesn't it all?
That's how those hillbilly families are.
That's not offensive.
All right, what are we doing in this show? I know what we're doing in this show. We're doing what you've been playing in the first segment. Second segment, I have some community stuff right there.
Really? This is it?
I got 2 threads worth of community stuff.
Right.
A couple.
Then we'll also talk about E3, right?
And then we're going to talk about some E3. Yeah. We'll do the E3. We'll make ourselves look silly a week later or something. And then we got news because Phil's here.
Yes.
And I guess I'm here. I'm news 2.
Yeah, that's right.
We got news 1 and news 2. It's like thing 1 and
full
thing
news
2.
team.
Bunch of newsies. You ever seen that film, kids? Newsies?
Yeah, Newsies is good. Good musical.
Long time ago, I have seen it.
That movie's terrible.
Long
you guys are
ago.
the brats. All right, go on.
Whoa. I can get nothing right.
I knew we needed to help Phil a lot because the other day I said something about, well, that's our version of the Bobs. And he's like, the what?
No, I just didn't get the reference. But now, when you explained it, I was like, okay, yeah.
I don't know Bob's either.
The Bobs. You're going to go in to see the Bobs. Mr. Gallegos, what is it exactly you do here at Initech?
It's Office Space.
That's an old movie, from when you were a kid.
I
went to that movie in the theater.
But the Bob's,
true story.
My bad.
I was like 13 or 12 or something.
Let's give Anthony the first up at the tee then on what you've been playing. Dude, what have you been up to?
Well,
Schizoid.
being the lowest person on the reviews totem pole, I get stuck with all the arcade games.
Low man on the pole.
So this week, Schizoid came out, on Wednesday, and I got stuck reviewing that. And, it's
love it.
It's for Xbox Live Arcade.
It's an Xbox Live Arcade game, yeah. And the whole premise of it is like, it looks a lot like Geometry Wars aesthetically. And you have 2 colored enemies. They're either, well, I guess there are multicolored enemies, but the main 2 are going to be orange or blue. And you control either a blue or an orange ship. And those colored ships can run into those type of enemies to destroy them, but they
ram into them.
Yeah, but the other color ship, like they can't hit the enemies that aren't their color.
Will they kill you or okay? So
yeah, so the whole thing is that you with your partner have to work out strategies where you're like, I go back, killed my 2 guys of my color, then you go back and hit your 2, or like we'll lead them around to where the ones that are chasing us, we run in and we go cross each other and kill like the enemies.
I like how Phil's already looking at you skeptically.
No, I don't.
So when you play it single player, you control the blue ship.
It's not doing anything
and
for
someone
you.
controls, and the AI controls the orange ship. It's touted like even on like when you start up the game menu as the most co-op game ever. And
I remember hearing this when it was announced.
Yeah, and you know, because the whole premise and the reason they said is basically because you can't play it without a human person, really. I mean, you really need someone else that you can really.
So you can't change like the polarity of your ship to the other color.
No, it definitely doesn't have that Ikaruga.
It's not like Ikaruga, right?
No.
All right.
And so there's also a mode in it that they call Uber Schizoid mode. And that's where you control both ships at once. So one ship you're moving with the left stick, and one ship you're moving with the right stick.
Is that the only way that you can play single player? Or can you play single player with like an AI?
You can play with AI, but I'm just saying, like the Uber Schizoid's the only way that you can like try and like have control over both at once. It's fucking impossible. So impossible. Like,
yeah, that sounds like a lot to take in.
So you pretty much love the game. It sounds like.
Yeah, I gave it a C-. I didn't think it was the worst thing I'd ever played, but. You know, I believe I said in my review that if this was like the epitome of cooperative games, I'd rather play with myself.
Yeah, you know, it sounds like it's kind of an interesting tweak on a familiar premise, but really, after hearing it, I think I'd rather just play Geometry Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't, like... There's like 120 levels, but that's what they tout, and it's like, but they're like rehashes. After,
I was gonna say,
like,
are there
40.
really 120 levels?
Right,
or
there are so many that are just throwaway.
Well, and the graphics look pretty simple by design, right? It's like a throwback.
Right, and the biggest pain in the ass part of it to me that bothered me immensely was like, if you go and you play single player and you unlock like the first 80 levels, then you go and you play co-op with a friend locally or online. None of those levels are unlocked.
That sucks.
You have to start from level 1 and unlock them like in each mode. It's like total shit. But on the opposite side of arcade spectrum, I've been playing, not finished with it yet, but I've been playing 1942 Joint Strike.
Nice.
So,
it's like a full-on remake.
Full-on remake. It's from the same team guys that did the Commando 3 Wolf of the Battlefield, you know.
Which you liked. I saw you playing that at your desk, and you were like, I like this.
I did like it a lot. I like a lot of classic arcade games like that, and I think those guys do a really excellent job with like the interface and everything.
This is more or less just like a fully 3D, you know, remake of 1942.
That's exactly what it is. Like, you would have a throwback to your NES days or arcade days of like, even like you'll see like the ships that you totally recognize. I mean, I guess the only difference is that they added I think the only difference is that they've really added like special powers that you and a second player do together, and like the way you guys do it together affects its power. But I mean, it's actually like really good graphics for what it is. I mean, like there's really cool smoke effect coming off your ship when you're damaged, and
they don't give you unlimited continues, right?
They don't give you, and
I applaud that decision.
I know
I
you
really
do.
Because otherwise you would buy this game and you'd play through it all in one sitting, and you'd feel like you didn't get your money's worth.
So by dying and having to restarting and get frustrated with it, that gives you your money's worth?
I don't know if you ever unlock more continues, but I like a game like Ikaruga, where the more
if Shane were in charge, you would have to pay 25 cents for each.
I know.
No. But I like games like Ikaruga, where the more you play it, you unlock more credits.
Like Wolf of the Battlefield, you have to complete the game once on any difficulty to unlock level select.
Dude, don't give them any ideas. Like, they'll be like, would you like to continue? Please insert 5 Microsoft points.
Man, there are some times when I died on like the last level of that game with my last continue that I was like, I would now I would pay, like just to be able to keep going.
Give us 20 space bucks and you can keep playing.
I'm not gonna lie, there's times that I would.
I'm surprised no one's someone's thought of that. We're not the first people to think of that.
Yeah, but I mean, they'd get ripped apart on blogs for it, even if it was like, you know, I say right now I do it, I'd still be furious that they want that from me. So,
and then you'd still do it. It's like the fucking Apple App Store.
Yeah.
Like, people clamoring hand over fist to give Apple money for locked applications that they were getting on their jailbreaked iPhones for free a year ago.
Well, luckily, Garnet, nobody has monetized Extra Men or health packs in a game yet.
So it seems like Capcom is doing a really, really solid job with all of these sort of makeovers of old games.
Definitely, if Wolf of the Battlefield and and 1942.
Dude, Bionic Commando Rearmed is going to like blow them all away.
And that's what I'm saying. Like that one apparently is that one from the brief things that I've seen from it. I was like, wow, they've done a really great job with the way it looks. So I mean, if anybody out there is doing a good job, it's like Capcom right now publishing those arcade games.
Except for Mega Man 9.
That's not a remake.
That's not an arcade game either.
It's an abomination.
This is the big argument we get into about these downloadable games all the time of should that space be a place for garage developers to be doing new stuff, the sort of independent games movement, the things you see at GDC, or should it be a place where we're bringing back all of these old classics? And I think the answer is a combination of the two.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, the cool thing that Capcom is doing now, at least, is that it's not just ports of these old NES games or something. It's actual full-on remakes with new graphics and everything, and new additions, new powers and stuff. So
right. I mean, I like those shooters, the two-stick shooters that are dominant on there. But then, one of the other arcade games I played recently that I loved a whole lot was Sea Life Safari.
That's right.
So, I mean, in that one, all it was going on dives and taking pictures of animals.
Snap,
exactly like Pokemon Snap.
Awesome.
Well,
so,
Anthony, can
I want to. That's why I want to play Africa.
Yeah, do you want to join my Africa fan club?
Or Africa or Aqua? I want to play.
Aqua looks brilliant.
I want to play them both.
Dude, pass the douchey. We got to watch some more of the.
I'm just saying.
Where I'm from, we don't call a duchy a douchey.
Nah, you just hadn't had enough yet.
I guess not.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying,
that's pretty impressive.
Be like that.
I do like it when we see stuff other than shooters on the arcade space, like crazy puzzle games.
Well, this is not what you've been playing, but did you see in Japan, Sony finally revealed that The Last Guy? Did you see that game? It's crazy.
I saw something about this, but what is the deal with it?
So I couldn't
figure out what it is.
It's a PSN game coming out of Sony, and it uses high resolution satellite photography from Google Maps.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So you're looking at it from a straight top down perspective of these urban areas, and the plot is that there's a zombie outbreak, and it's your job to lead people to safety. There's all these people running around getting killed by zombies.
I think I saw somebody describe it as a top down version of Exit.
Basically, it is. Yeah, and I haven't played it yet, but it looks really
with zombies.
It looks really unique, and people are wondering, can it know where you are? We don't know that yet, but if you can actually make levels based on where you live and stuff, that'd be nuts.
By the way, as long as we got sidetracked for a minute here, that made me think about 28 Days, okay?
28 Days Later?
And then that made me think about Hot Fuzz, because...
That has nothing to do with zombies.
Well, all right. But those guys, they did Shaun of the Dead.
Right.
Which, by the way, I have to say, Shaun of the Dead, way better than Hot Fuzz.
I like Shaun of the Dead better. But
those guys are doing Ant-Man.
I know.
That's going to be awesome.
But this is because I
have you seen Spaced?
No, I don't think so.
Space. But wouldn't Shaun of the Dead make a great game that no one made?
Great game.
I just thought
but I saw Hot Fuzz over the weekend, and it's way slower to get going than Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead is funny, 10 or 15 minutes into it, they're already into the deal, and
Hot
it's
Fuzz
all funny.
takes itself a little more too seriously.
Yeah, seriously, and it's not funny until the end. The final 10 minutes of it is fucking hilarious. I'm like, wow, the whole movie should have been this. This is what the whole movie should have been, and screw all that other build-up part. I'm actually going to be a police lieutenant.
Save this off-topic stuff for the kids' table. All right.
Why? We can do that here. We not
here. Skip does not allow us to talk about movies on here. I've tried.
Hey, Andrew, not here right now.
Oh,
that's why
trust me, when he's not around, the podcasts go crazy. We released a 2-hour-long episode of 1UP FM. He's going to be angry.
So anyway, I don't know. What do you like? Hot Fuzz was fun, but I didn't think it was nearly as good as Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead, way better. If for no other reason than the zombie training in the backyard, which was fantastic.
That was also very good.
All right, so anyway,
we were still talking about Anthony and all the downloadable games he enjoys playing.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else you've been playing? Not downloadable,
we should move on.
You sure? Anything else good? Nothing on the radar? Seen anything? You're like, oh my God, I want to play
Duke Nukem 3D when it
played a
comes
couple
out
of
on
iPhone
live.
Games.
Oh, yeah, I did play a couple of iPhone games.
Blackjack?
What's the best iPhone game?
Well, the company that came by, they showed us 6 games, 3 of which were Blackjack, Texas Hold'em.
Not surprising.
And Slot Machine.
Not surprising.
Does Slot Machine give you real money?
No.
Can you shake it and make it do shit?
No, the only thing you can do is you can touch the lines you want to bet on and stuff. And on Blackjack, you can do the gestures of double tap to hit,
right?
And slide over your cards to say you stay.
But you have to be very careful about that. I mean, I saw on The Girls Next Door where one of the girls made the wrong sign at the table, and she was very upset because she lost 3,000 of Heft's money.
You watch some really shitty TV.
You never know what I'm going to watch.
Basically, the only game that I played that was really cool was this one that was a water puzzle game. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, and it was kind of like Each Chowdown, if you ever played that, or any of those other puzzle games where each level starts you off with here's your 5 things you have to complete this level, and the whole goal is to get water that's falling out of this one vessel into this other container. And so it's like now you have to like set these contraptions up in a certain way so that the water makes its way in a path.
Oh, that sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, you use the touchscreen to move the objects and rotate them and stuff. I mean, that one was kind of cool, but
I mean, the whole hurdle to overcome with doing iPhone games is that there's no input system.
Right.
I mean, the input system is you can tilt and move it, which works great for a Super Monkey Ball, but it's sort of
it also has 2
one-dimensional.
points of touchscreen contact, which opens up so much.
Right. So like I played a racing game, and to accelerate.
What do you mean it has 2 points of?
Unlike a DS touch screen, which only you can touch it
Oh,
once.
right. No, it's got dual touch.
Yeah,
right.
you
Okay.
touch
So
iPhone
it has dual touch.
twice.
Right. Has dual touch control. Right. So you can't do that. Right.
Yeah.
So you can have
So like the racing game I was playing, you could you held accelerate or reverse by actually touching a spot on the screen, and then you did the tilt.
But you still have
steer.
your hands over the screen that you're trying to watch and play the game in.
This is true.
I mean, it's kind of challenging. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of people rushing to go do stuff in that space because it's exciting. A lot of people have iPhones.
Are you talking about the 14 Sudoku games coming out this week?
We'll have a story up, actually. It'll be up when this podcast goes up in our news section on the top iPhone games.
Yeah.
Sort of like hands-on look at them.
Well, that's cool.
Yep.
But I mean, I think there's definitely going to be a learning curve there to what really works on iPhone and how do you make it work right. One thing I saw that was really cool, I don't know if we covered this or not, but I saw an app that they were showing that is like a dice game where you play poker with the dice, but you roll the dice by shaking the iPhone, and it has a 3D representation of the dice inside the screen. Mm-hmm. So what's cool is instead of it doing just random number generation on the dice, it actually has like a little physics engine in there that's running, and it actually shakes the dice and calculates the collisions of them against each other and has the faces all rolling and everything, which is
pretty interesting.
Still does the random generation, but it's like you're actually rolling dice inside the iPhone. So, that's kind of cool.
I think it'll be a while before we see a real killer app. For
EA is releasing Scrabble. That's kind of a killer
That
app.
is kind of a killer app.
You shake it, and
thing.
your letters rearrange in a different way.
Whoa.
What the hell do you think is going to happen to Scrabulous on Facebook? Because, there's Scrabble
that's
on
what I was
Facebook.
wondering.
Well, no,
I heard
they
about
already got rid of it. It was replaced by Scrabble, like real Scrabble.
Scrabulous is still there.
Yeah, I thought
Is
Scrabble
it?
was still
Yeah, no.
Last time I checked it was, but I haven't checked
I thought they
Facebook
were
in a
being
couple days.
forced to replace it with the real thing.
No, but I think this is what's going to happen is people will immediately shift. I think people will jump over to Scrabble right away. What do you think?
That's what I would guess. I was wondering the exact same thing when I saw that news. And is it free as well?
I guess honestly, I haven't gone and looked. I guess it's free. I saw something on like Mashable or whatever where they were talking about getting it on Facebook. I guess it's already been out on Pogo, and I guess you have to pay for it on Pogo. I don't know. I should look into this stuff more before I start talking about it. But
No, it's interesting.
I'm curious because there was a short time there where I was completely hooked on Scrabulous, and then that sort of I don't know. I sort of fell off the bandwagon. It takes too long to play, and it's whatever. Scrabble.
That was a couple of interesting sidetracks.
Scrabble's no
at
boggle.
once.
Scrabble is no boggle.
Scrabble is no boggle.
But I like Scrabble.
Boggle podcast still coming. Don't tell Skip.
Only if we can talk about Big Boggle.
That's right, we will.
Well, big boggle. Anyway, this is mind-boggling. Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
You want to go next?
I have a few old games.
Phil's going next.
I decided to go back into the past a little just because there's not that much coming out right now.
He went Marty McFly on it.
Have you not solved your favorite new Xbox 360 strategy RPG?
No, I have not. I did play a little bit more Operation Darkness, but I don't really want to talk about that.
All right.
It's mostly just going to be you complaining that it sucks and me saying, it's all right.
No, we won't do that.
But no,
Phil, we won't do that. Go ahead. Tell us about Operation.
I don't have anything
Operation
interesting to say
whatever
about
the hell it is. Did
but
you get to the werewolves yet?
Yes.
You got to the werewolves,
Yes.
and
They're awesome.
of course, because werewolves are awesome.
Werewolves are awesome.
What is the explanation behind why there are allied werewolves and Axis zombies?
Because, the Nazis were very into the occult, Garnet. I think that
Right.
you would know this being a World War II historian, as we've
sure.
gone over in the show before.
Absolutely. Me and the Castle Wolfenstein crowd, we're all down with that.
Okay, I'm going to go into what I've really been playing.
I thought you said you've been playing that.
Not very much. Not enough to say anything
He's not
interesting.
proud of it.
He's not going to walk across that street twice, is he? No amount of luring is going to get him across that street.
Instead, he was playing a much, much better RPG for Xbox 360.
All right, hit it.
Wait, what RPG for Xbox 360 are you talking about?
The one that you were playing that's much, much better than that one.
I don't
Lost Odyssey?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I totally blanked out. I was going to go over my other game first. But yeah, I went back. My game for the 4th of July that I decided to play to waste away my 4th of July was Lost Odyssey.
Very patriotic.
I had, yes, exactly. I got about 8 hours into it previously and then just kind of dropped it and got busy with other stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I've been wanting to go back, so I finally went back and played another. I'm probably about 5 or 6 hours longer into it now. I'm near the end of the first disc.
Did you get to disc 2 yet?
I'm right at the end. I have a friend who's playing at the same time, and he told me I'm right at the end.
fun kids who totally changed the tone of the game?
I did.
100%.
And I got to the worst part of the game that I played so far. I've been enjoying it for the most part.
Did you do another stealth bit?
But there's this part where a character dies, and there's a funeral segment.
Oh God! And that mini game.
Yes.
That minigame, I couldn't figure that minigame out. It was 1 in the morning. I was like, am I retarded? Like, I mean, am I stupid? And I almost called Fitch, Andrew Fitch, who's also reviewing it, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? And then I realized it was so simple, like, it was so simple I couldn't even figure it out, you know?
Well, the awful thing about this is that it's this really emotional scene and a little bit over the top where this character dies and everybody's really upset. And then immediately after that, you have a fetch quest where you have to go and get 10 flowers. And then immediately after you get the flowers, you have a second fetch quest where you have to go and get 10 torches for the funeral. And then you have a mini game at the funeral, and it just like totally robs it of any like emotional weight that it might have had. Is like,
how does it rob it? You see, that's actually building the emotional weight for you.
You're
getting the flowers.
And when I got to the last mini game and couldn't properly line my torch up, I was like, "This is the worst morning ever." I'm glad they're dead. I wish everyone was dead.
But I mean, yeah. So that was awful. But besides that, I've really been enjoying the game. It's a very The combat feels very old school, but at the same time, it's a little bit more like puzzly than most RPGs. Like you can't just grind and level up because they literally they stop you from being able to level at a certain point. So you actually have to figure out real strategies for fighting all the guys.
You know that I really, really got into Lost Odyssey, and I didn't play a whole lot further than where you're at before I got sidetracked, and it's sitting there on my pile of, you should go back and play this game.
Disc 2, I mean, I think it does kind of try your patience, because the first 8 hours of the game are really good, and then it kind of dips a little bit, and like a lot of people end up bailing out then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll try and keep going through it. But what I really love about it is just the presentation. I think the presentation of the game is so much better than any JRPG I've played before. But, like just the cinematic presentation, the way they do like picture-in-picture stuff, and they split the screen in two so you can see two characters, and the graphics are good enough that you can see their faces reacting and like tell what they're feeling without them having to say anything. So they're able to cut down on crappy explanatory dialogue.
Phil, do you read the memories?
I read the first 2 or 3.
And
then I was just like...
And it's sad because they are so much better localized than the rest of the game, but it's, as I've said in the past, it's the worst. It's a misuse of the medium. It's the worst way to tell your story, even if it's a good story.
Yeah, and that's really the weird part of it, is I agree with you that it's a misuse of the medium, and at the same time, I found myself reading them because they are really good. They're great little short stories.
They're definitely really good short stories. The one problem that I've had with them, at least the ones that I did read, and this is the reason I've started kind of skipping through them, was that they were all sort of the same thing, which was the theme of the game is you're playing this immortal, and he's seen all these people he loves die, and he has to live with the fact that he keeps living while all these other people are dying. So all of the stories kind of amount to that in the end. All of the stories are about him finding somebody he likes, that person dying, and then him feeling sad about it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah.
So and they do some interesting variations on that, and they're very well written and interesting. It's just the fact that there's so many of them, and that they do all kind of amount to that same thing. And I do kind of agree with you, Shane, that at first when I heard you saying that on the podcast, I was like, oh, whatever, Shane's just being crazy. But then when I actually played it, I was like, no, he's kind of right.
But yeah, I stand by. I think Lost Odyssey is the best non-Square JRPG to come out in a long time. The production values are there.
That's high praise.
It is. It's very proficient. It doesn't do a lot of things you haven't seen before, but it does things well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then in addition to that, I downloaded, of course, the big PlayStation 3 upgrade and the 2.41, I think they decided to call it now. And so I was really excited because there's trophies. I'm an achievement whore, so I was really excited to look into the trophy thing.
The only game with trophies is Super Stardust HD.
That's correct. So I downloaded Super Stardust HD because I had never downloaded it before. I'd always wanted to and just kind of never gotten around to it.
I thought you liked twin stick shooters.
I think they're all right. I don't know.
That's Anthony.
I do enjoy them.
All you kids look the same to me.
It's true. Well, do you like Stardust?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It actually made me remember. I remember that when it first came out, I remember listening to all the 1UP podcasts, and you guys were really excited about it, and everybody in the office was playing it and having a blast. And it made me wish that I was around when that was going on, because I think I would have gotten really into it. And yeah, so I've only gotten to the second planet or something, but I'm just really enjoying it. And I'm playing the planets over and over again.
It gets really hard.
I can tell. Yeah. I can tell. And but I love the way that it's set up where you can switch between the different weapons, and
you have to.
Yeah, but that they're helpful for different things. Like it adds a layer of depth to it that makes it more interesting than a lot of twin stick shooters.
You're definitely not alone, because Jeff Kanata, my buddy over on Totally Rad Show, I saw on his tweet the other day that he and Danny jumped right back into Stardust. They're like, they're like right onto the, like, we got to earn the trophy awards and all that kind of stuff. And I sort of appreciate that. And then others like Greeny's like, yeah, just got to Planet 4. I forgot how fucking hard this was. I'm like, shit, I never even got to Planet 4 in Super Stardust.
And everybody who's like, oh, I want to get a trophy, like, it isn't easy. You can't just boot it up and get like, like nice try. Here's a trophy.
Honestly, I played the first planet for like probably an hour and a half or 2 hours before I passed it, and then I got 2 trophies, and that felt great. But I mean, it was just like it's not easy. Like these aren't just like simple.
Nope.
Press start and you get an achievement.
And second planet rocks, and third planet. And Jeff, I'd like to know what fourth planet looks like. Maybe show me some time.
But yeah, so I'm excited to be into that. I'm hoping they add trophies for some other stuff soon, so I can continue appreciating my PS3 in new ways.
Well, yeah, like adding meaningless icon trophies to your profile.
When I level up, it's not going to feel meaningless.
It validates your life in some sad way.
That's right.
Oh dear.
It's the only thing I have going for me right now.
Let's not forget Philip does have a girlfriend. Like it just makes me sound so sad.
He's a trophy girlfriend.
Obviously, is she a bronze or a silver? Or
oh, whoa! Don't fucking say a word.
No,
You're gonna get yourself in trouble.
No, go ahead. Phil, what?
Platinum, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like a stripper's name.
Her name is Platinum.
Next.
I can go next. Let's see. So we were able to put our previews up for some of the EA3 stuff, since that's still been trickling out. So I guess I can talk about Mercenaries 2 now. Which
I want to hear about this.
Yeah, so the deal with Mercenaries 2 is it's been delayed for forever. People were really excited about it. Everybody saw the graphics, and they were like, wow, it doesn't look that good. And you know what? I mean, I guess if you hold it up screen by screen to the competition.
But they finally fixed the frame rate, because that, like, a year ago, that was the running joke, is that people called it Mercenaries 2 World in Frames because the frame rate was shitty.
Well, right, but I mean, it doesn't look that great either. I mean, seriously, because they were making.
Okay, what's weird about that game is it looks really good when you're like in a helicopter and everything. When everything's zoomed way out, you're like, this looks crazy good.
Totally agree.
Then when you actually get like to close ground level, it doesn't look as good anymore.
Right. So I mean, that part hasn't changed, and I always figured that they'd get the frame rate right. I mean, there's no alternative there. You have to get the frame rate right, or you don't sell that game, because it doesn't work if you don't have the frame rate right. I mean, it's. Right?
Right.
I mean, unless you're going to do something silly like, what was that, Just Cause? Or
Just Cause. Why not?
Yeah, was it? Well, anyway, one of those games came out.
That's my alternate title for Just Cause.
Why not? Why not? So I guess the deal with it is that when you start playing it, you get over the visuals pretty quickly, because it's a lot of fun, because you get to blow so much shit up. Like, it is the blow tons and tons and tons of shit up.
Well,
really.
Did you play the original?
Yeah, I played the original a lot. Actually, my stepdad is a freaking Mercenaries maniac. He beat the game like 5 times.
Wow.
Like, wow, dude.
At this demo, they were often like, you see people putting a bunch of like C4 on a truck, driving it towards something, and jumping out and watching it blow up. That's like the whole fun of this game. It's a big part of it. It's just like screwing
that one thing isn't the whole fun of the game, but is an example of the whole fun of the game.
It's an example of like, you make your own fun.
The whole fun of this game is like blowing all kinds of crap up and doing it with all these. It's even less like the original one was sort of like Grand Theft Auto, but with military stuff. This time it's more like just complete commando mercenary army guys and lots of military weapons to blow the shit out of everything.
Well, and like immense destructibility in the environments.
Yeah, so you can grab a helicopter, go flying around, bring down buildings and watch them collapse. Like
every building.
Every building.
And the whole fire mechanic in the game as well. And that's a big focus, is like the world in flames from these.
Oh, right. Because
different things have burnability.
Yeah,
and like
fire is like this year's water.
Fire is this year's water.
Fire is this year's water.
From Alone in the Dark to this, but yeah.
We never did get an answer about Nick's question, because remember how Nick had asked, because he had supposedly seen Mercenaries like 2 years ago, and the guys were like, you can totally dump gas out in trails and light gas on fires and write out things in gasoline and watch it burn.
Oh.
But no one seems to know anything
about
that.
They didn't. I would think they would have demoed that by now.
Nick Setner just thinks that that's the most important feature.
Is that why he loved Alone in the Dark so much, because there's fire in it?
Probably.
You can actually do that with the gasoline and Alone in the Dark.
That's probably why he loved it so much.
So I ran a couple of missions, and the missions were fun. They were pretty much the basic sort of stuff you expect. I think this is going to be really fun. Like, playing, I think, with other people is going to be the most fun. I hopped on board this ship it was pretty damn big, like
how many players
sizable
play
patrol
together?
boat, and you could get in, like one person could be driving, another person could get into like the main gun control and just wreak havoc with the with the deck guns.
Too bad you have to play as those characters, huh?
Oh my god, the character design of that is just awful. It's you've seen the characters in that game. You've seen like the renders and stuff. They look pathetic. Come on, they look They look ridiculous. Do they not look ridiculous?
Yes, but how's the plot? That's what I want to know about.
There's a plot?
I was just
kidding. It's set in Venezuela. It's very controversial.
Yeah.
It is. That's why everything revolves around gasoline.
Yeah.
It's in Venezuela.
Ripped from the headlines.
That's why it's important to Nick.
Anyway, I think it's fun. I mean, I think you'll have a lot of fun with it if you don't go in like super high expectations. The whole mechanism of the way they actually bring your deployables out to you by helicopter and drop them to you in the field. I mean, it feels like you're there on the ground, and it's very immersive. I like the economy part of it, of having to like pull fuel back in to fuel your supply train or whatever.
And it's actually coming out next month, right?
I thought it was September.
Oh, is it September?
End of August?
It's August. August,
well, and also,
that seems like good timing.
And Pandemic has a really brilliant secret weapon with this game, a PS2 version, which they never show it. But I think it's brilliant that they're doing it, because there's a lot of Walmart shoppers who will buy that.
Well, therein lies the reason behind why the graphics engine looks the way it does. I mean, it's one engine and it's scalable down to PS2, and it runs on PS2. I mean, and from talking to those guys, it runs on PS2. It's not like it sort of works on PS2, or then it works on PS2. Anyway, so that's that. What else? Rock Band 2, which everyone's seen the previews now. I don't know. Were you excited for Rock Band 2?
I'm excited that my download still worked from Rock Band 1.
Yeah, I'm excited about that part.
That
the refinements.
Necessity.
Yeah.
I'm still questioning whether or not I need another disc every year for Rock Band. If they could have just made it like a downloadable update for $10 or something.
Like Garnet and I were talking about this, and I was saying that I sort of wonder if. I mean, Harmonix has really pushed the idea that Rock Band is a music platform, which is why the downloads are going to keep working no matter which version you have. But I almost wonder if they didn't really want to do a disc, but EA was like, no, we need to have a disc coming out every year. That's our thing.
We need retail space.
So I don't know.
I mean, I gotta say, I'm definitely more curious to try Guitar Hero World Tour on tour. What's it called?
Yeah.
Do you guys think
World Tour? Yeah.
If they didn't come out with a disc, if they didn't come out with a Rock Band 2, do you think they could still keep pulling in new consumers?
I do. You know what? I can make that argument really easily, because they could do the things that they're doing with a combination of title updates, significant downloadable content packages, instead of just doing like their regular, 5 songs or so a week. If they had like milestones and they said, we're going to bring out 30 new songs on this day, and by the way, that's the same day we're going to release the new guitars.
Well, and they could continually update that big box, and the Rock Band you're buying each year is better and different, but you all have that stuff from download pushes. I mean, it could have happened that way, but I think because Guitar Hero exists, and you see Rock Revolution, and they're kind of forced to follow the mold.
You know what? That's really actually a damn good idea. They should have they should keep calling it Rock Band and not even call it Rock Band 2. It's like the Rock Band, now it has this disc in it with these instruments.
And it comes with these songs, and it comes with this stuff. And,
exactly. That's exactly the way it should work.
I mean, if they do make it so that this is unconfirmed yet, but if they do make it so that tracks from the original Rock Band are downloadable in Rock Band 2, that's essentially what it will be, basically, but just with a 2 and with a couple of upgraded features.
And the new mode,
Right, so let's follow that software model out a little further. So if they did what you're talking about, it just did that as an update like that, there's no reason they couldn't say, we're going to do a major update to Rock Band, and if you want that update, it's $19.95.
Right.
Or whatever, and you download it. And it's like, you know what, this isn't really a patch. This is a significant game-changing
Right, you can say, you
update.
get this new mode, you get this new thing,
Yeah, it's like the same thing that's happened in security suites, like when you buy your McAfee or whatever year after year, they're giving you more data and more, the engineers have been at work you're paying for that. So
but unfortunately that's just not the way video game work.
No, I know.
So much.
That's sort of frustrating. Yeah. So anyway, I think the new instruments are nice. I mean, the wireless drum kit, wireless guitars. The guitar has this photo sensor in the neck, so they'll be able to. So this will end the calibration nightmares once and for all. There's going to be a calibration routine in the software where you turn it on, you hold your guitar up with the photo cell pointed to the screen, and it'll flash the screen, and the guitar will read the flashes off the screen, and it'll fix the calibration to be perfectly in sync.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, another thing I noticed, the graphics are...
Might be seizure-inducing.
The graphics are better. I mean, not that you even pay attention to graphics while you play Rock Band, but like when they first were showing it off, there were some like new filters and effects, and it looked really, stylish, looked different.
Right. Well, right. You don't ever notice
you
that
never notice.
unless you're watching someone else play.
Exactly.
But I don't know. And then it wasn't working at their show, but they had the stage kit thing.
Oh God!
Are you talking about the fog machine?
Yes.
It's a fog machine and a strobe light for like $100.
Yep. It's awesome.
Sean Elliott said we should get 3 or 4 of those for the
Now, is this actually EA putting this out, or is it a third party?
It's licensed.
Somebody told me it was like a third party.
It's licensed third party.
Okay.
It's basically all that shit that was sitting in the back of Spencer's Gifts that never got sold, rebranded as Rock Band shit.
Nice.
Yeah. Pretty soon they'll have like these skull with like light up lights that go on at the same time with the music.
I'm definitely still on Team Rock Band, but I'm very curious to see what's going on over in Team Guitar Hero, and like I want to try that stuff and see.
Team Guitar Hero is going to be very interesting because you saw that. Did you see the story today where the CEO of Activision? Or do we have that news?
Yeah. I didn't put it in news for this, but because we just posted it. But
all right, so we'll just talk about it right now. So
it was Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard, is it?
Activision.
He had an interview with the Financial Times where he basically said, we want to use Guitar Hero to create a music store that will compete with iTunes.
Whoa.
And they've also got access to all like the Universal music because of their merger with Vivendi.
Well, Universal owns like a big percentage of all the labels now,
right?
Like Interscope, A&M.
Still, though, that's a statement, man.
I know that's a serious statement, but I've been like calling for that for like 2 years. So, I mean, I would love it if they finally did that.
It was it was very vague. He didn't give any details, so you have to kind of wonder, does he mean that we're going to be able to download songs for Guitar Hero and then also get the MP3s? Because that would be huge.
Right.
Like I would use that all the time.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
Or is he just talking about for Guitar Hero and he's just kind of a little misled about what he's...
Or if I could buy a CD and rip my MP3s from that CD and also get the Guitar Hero tracks.
Sweet.
That would be amazing.
I'd fucking buy CDs like crazy.
All I know is we got a hold of Activision right away, and they were like, we have no further comment to make at this time. It sounded like, why was he off talking about this stuff? We didn't know he was going to go talk about this stuff. Damn it!
It sounded a little bit like they weren't expecting it.
Yeah. Well, it was a little off guard. So obviously they have big plans, and it's going to be really interesting to see when they're going to talk about those big plans. Next Tuesday night is the Activision press conference, and I think, and I kind of get a feeling that after this little interview slip that maybe they'll give us some new information, because the guys there were like, yeah, you should probably come to our press conference next Tuesday night. Yeah, that'd probably be a good idea. You might want to do that. So I'll look into that.
I don't think we're sending anyone from 1UP, so
yeah, probably
that's
not.
Too bad.
That's a shame. And then I also played Too Human over the long break, and that sort of took...
Like the whole thing?
No, I played... no, because I didn't really want to finish it after I played about another 7 hours.
Were you playing single player or co-op?
Single player.
Oh.
And... Oh. The game has a lot of problems. And actually, it doesn't have a lot of problems. I should say that it has a lot of things in this preview build that I wish wasn't 2 months away from release, because that makes me concerned that they're not going to have time to fix some of them. Like, it's really repetitious. Like, it's really, really, really repetitious.
But isn't that genre by nature repetitive?
I think this is just my opinion on Too Human without having played it, but just I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed in it because it's a Diablo-style game, right?
Right.
And it is. That genre, by its nature, is repetitious. And I think that maybe Dennis has kind of oversold it a little by trying to make it out to be a greater game than it is. Like, I don't think it will be bad in that genre necessarily.
As someone who loves Diablo and Diablo 2 and all their expansions and played the shit out of them, let me tell you a big difference is that Diablo games had a very good ability to, as you're going through a level, change the feeling and flavor of the environment just a little bit every couple of levels or so. Mm-hmm. I mean, like what you think of as levels, but I know what you mean. You're inside the jungle area, and like 1 minute you're like just going through swamps, and then you find some ruins, and then you're going through some ruins, and so you're getting this varied experience. Too Human is hallway after hallway after hallway after hallway. Just keep doing that for a few more minutes, you'll get the feeling of it. I mean, and they're all just the same. I mean, there's very minimal furnishing in them. There's a ton of dudes that come zerging at you, and you're fighting them, and then you're in the next. You're like, an hour and a half later, you're in another hallway that looks like the hallway you were in an hour and a half ago, fighting the same things, doing the same stuff, and you're like, shit, this is.
Well, there are some breaks. I mean, you go to the cyberspace areas, and those are mainly puzzle-based.
Okay.
And there's the optional arenas that you'll find.
The optional arenas are cool. But
yeah, I mean, there definitely is no platforming, and there definitely is no like a lot of.
There didn't need to be platforming to it.
But yeah, like in terms of other things to do in these levels, like
I think they needed to be. I would have endeavored to put more into the combat system, and I mean, I still think that, like, yeah, there's some other things you can do. You can deploy a spider, which is like a little bot that you carry, and you can develop the bot in different ways. You can use a battle call, and the battle call through your skill tree can be developed to do different buffs for you. So you got like buffs, you got like an aid.
I know you're still somewhat early in, right? Like, how far are you?
It's been about 10 hours on it.
Oh, maybe not. Never mind. I was just going to ask if you got the feeling, like some people were saying, that it will develop. As you go, you'll unlock a lot more skills, and the combat will become a little more varied and interesting.
I did not start to get that. Not relative to where like Diablo and stuff. Okay. No, I wasn't. I know
the speed of the combat does increase, because I was watching people who played to the very end, and they were much faster.
And there's one thing I thought was like completely ridiculous, is that every mini boss is a shielded boss where you have to shoot the shields off the boss before you can physically damage them, and their AI is to run right up to you and stick on you. But if you go to use your guns once they stick on you, you get killed, which I was getting really, really pissed off about until I realized, oh yeah, that's right. It doesn't matter if I die in this game. The whole thing's just set up for me to like stand there and I guess shoot a few times before I die. I get killed.
Do that until the shield drops.
And here comes the angel. Oh, I come in again, drop the shield. Yeah, I was like, have you played it?
No.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this part's broken.
Well,
anyway,
I'm still withholding my judgment, because I realize like the single player game is a little less, ambitious than I was expecting. I think that Dennis has had to compromise his vision for this game somewhat. When we heard it was,
I'd say a lot. I mean, I don't know. To me, like the part that's really, really finished and thought out is the loot, and like the loot that you get in this game, and the ability to outfit your character with different armors and weapons is
incredibly deep.
Is everything I would ever ask for in that kind of genre. I mean, like great rune system to customize with like these runes where you, by doing different feats in battles, like killing an enemy with over 50 combo on your meter or whatever, starts to fill up the rune, and once the rune's filled, then it'll apply a buff to your character. Like gives you a chance to freeze people when you hit them or whatever. That part's really cool. The itemization is amazing with all the different armor sets that you can get. The way every one of them has an individual look to it, that's all cool. But then at some point in time, I have to go play the game, and
well, as I said, I'm still gonna try the co-op, because I had so much fun with PSO, and like when you're doing something mundane and repetitive is much more engaging when you're doing with somebody else. Well,
of course,
it's 4 times as engaging with 3 friends.
Yeah,
it's twice as engaging with.
I mean, that's the same thing with anything MMOs or whatever. Right. I mean,
it's like it's better than chat room, because you're fighting stuff and comparing cool like helmets and shit.
Yeah, I mean, I am now sort of on the. Damn, I do wish it was 4 players still.
Yeah.
I really do wish it was 4
What do you mean
player.
It's not 4 players?
It's only 2 players.
Yeah, they had to reduce it to 2 player.
When did that happen to my world, and I didn't know that?
Yeah, that happened back at GDC.
So, I think that would have been a nice anything you could do in this game to have more sharing and more like people playing together, because I think that one of the places, like my complaint about the mini bosses goes away if you have another person there, so that they can draw because then you have the ability to someone draw them off, someone tank, so definitely geared for multiplayer. 2 players definitely be fun. Boy, I wish it was gonna be 4 player. I don't know. Will I still get it? I'll still probably get it and play it, because the itemization's cool, and if there's people to play with, that'll be fun. But
what do you think of the cutscenes in this post Metal Gear Solid 4 landscape?
Man, in the post Metal Gear Solid 4 landscape, it's just
they weren't long enough.
Yeah, they weren't long enough. They need to be longer, obviously, and they obviously needed more David Hayter.
I think they're pretty good. I definitely think that I've watched them myself, and I definitely think that people are giving him way more shit for the animation than
fine
than it's warranted.
Oh yeah. That was the thing that was bothering me, I think, most about all the crap the game was getting, was a lot of people seem to be really, really upset about the animation. It hasn't looked that bad from what I've seen.
I think one of the things that I hope for between the version that we played and the final version is that they're able to tie it together and convey a little bit more of all this, what was supposed to be cool Norse mythology angle to it, because I wasn't getting it.
Oh, see, that's kind of what I thought I'd just be getting hit with in the whole time every moment I was in it, because I thought it was just going to be like super, super, super story rich.
Yeah.
You know, like when you played Eternal Darkness, you were constantly learning things about like each of these characters' crazy backstory. So I figured that's all I'd be hearing the whole time.
It wasn't so much. I mean, I started to get some of what's going on with the struggle, you know, and with the Eris. Is that what the name is? Whatever. The struggle with the gods who are like
the Azir.
Right, whatever. I was starting to get some of that and the internal strife amongst the Azir, and then the little bit of the soap opera that's playing out behind the scenes. But it was like it's coming across very slowly, and there's some things like the Norns that need more explanation for me to understand why I'm talking to them, rather than me having to like slowly piece like. I don't mind slowly piecing it together, but at least having some introduction of who the hell they are and why they matter would help.
Well, there's a fear, you know, if this game only scratches the surface and gives you like a taste of what is possible with the gameplay that could eventually, you know, evolve into a 4-player or more or whatever.
Yeah,
is the fear of like if this doesn't succeed, we might not
and also
get to see what happens.
Also, speaking of story stuff, like if it's true that it ends on a cliffhanger, which some people have said, that's going to be really frustrating if it ends on a cliffhanger, and especially if it doesn't succeede then. And
everybody who loved Advent Rising feels for you.
Or Beyond Good and Evil for years when...
now we're getting that, so...
Yeah, now
Hope springs eternal.
All right, so that's me. That brings us to Shane to bring it home for us.
I haven't been playing that much because I'm really busy with pre-E3. But last weekend, there was a giant Soul Calibur 4 fight-a-thon at Ryan's place with a lot of people playing all day.
Nice.
And, yeah, I really do like it. You know, I'd kind of been down.
Was Jason there?
Jason was there.
Was he dominant?
The sad thing was,
he was dominant.
Jason Bertrand, my former sidekick, he has always dominated at Soul Calibur 3 with his Sophisha and her broken ass super moves. And we were hoping, and the amount of times we told the Soul Calibur 4 guys, hey, please ruin Sophia, we hate her, like, she's too strong. So they did nerf that move, like the charge move, but then they gave her a bunch of new moves that are just as strong, and they made her ground pound thing even better. So, yeah, he had 25 straight wins, and I was the one who took him down. It was my Siegfried who finally destroyed him, but... yeah, well, once he stopped playing Sophia, we had a great time.
Don't let him pick him Blizzard, man.
Well, but I'm still trying to relearn Ivy. They really changed her so much. Like,
yeah, that's what the Soul Cal guys who are doing the guide said. They said that Ivy was significantly different.
Ivy was changed considerably from 2 to 3. So for the fact they changed her again from 3 to 4 pisses me off. And I'm only like 50% with her. So I picked up Tira, who is really good now. Like Tira got all these huge upgrades. So she's like my new number 2 character now.
Wow. And they did confirm to me that Zhang got nerfed. They were like, yeah, she's nerfed.
Yeah, she's still pretty good, though. But it is really, it's good. I mean, the backgrounds are inconsistent. Some look good, some look bad. The characters look great throughout. But yeah, it's a lot like Soul Calibur 3, but better.
Okay, so in a long play session like that, because I've only played...
we played hours and hours and hours.
So I've only played it in, like, spits and spurts here and there. How big a factor was the ultimate finishers?
5 hours of playing, nobody used one once.
Yeah, I kind of think
because we know how to GI, we know how to like dodge and evade. Like, unless you don't even know what you're doing, you're not going to fall for that.
So in other words, it's working the way it's supposed to, in that it's punishing. It'll only punish you if you are completely turtling and not playing the game.
They never happen for us. So
it's
not really a fear. The only real fear moving forward is, hey, where's that online mode? I don't know.
Well, because it's not the build you have.
I don't know.
Because it's not in the build we have. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Well, I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll find out on July 29th whether or not it's in the final game.
There you go.
There you go. Okay, and I can finally talk about Mirror's Edge.
Yes.
Which I got to play at EA's event a few weeks ago. And,
parkour for the people.
Well, first of all, they
got a brand new preview up.
They released that Flash teaser, and they showed that to us, okay?
Yep.
They sat us down, they showed us this Flash teaser, and I turned to the PR guy, I was like, what's with this Esurance crap? That was terrible. That was like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Your game looks great, and you make this shitty Flash garbage that looks terrible. Like, the thing is terrible. Like, I don't know what they're thinking. Horrible, horrible trailer.
I know our new...
it's horrible.
Our new community manager did a blog on how much she dislikes the trailer.
Yeah, and so...
made Tina cry.
So after that, I was like, oh, okay, now I'm worried about this game. But when they set the controller in my hand and, like, let me run around, I couldn't believe how different it is, and how invigorating and weird and
invigorating.
Oh, it's so
even with its like 2 buttons.
That's what's so great about it. Like, you're just using the 2 triggers, and one is like there's an up button and a down button, and the up button grabs onto things, and the down button like makes her slide or makes her duck, and it's all about momentum. And yeah, it plays like a first.
Is it timed all the time? Is that how it is?
No, I mean you're trying to deliver things, in these levels, but there's no time limit.
That's good.
You see in front of you, and there's this thing where what do they call the runners? Like the runner view, where things in the environment that I'm shorting out here.
You coiled your cable up into a mess there, didn't you?
Sorry. So objects in the environment that you can grab onto will appear.
No, don't coil it. That's why it was like you're creating a little coil there.
Less, so it doesn't hit the soundboard. All right. So objects in the environment that you can use to to traverse the level will appear red to her. So
it's not red. They take on like a red metallic-y glow sort of thing.
No, they actually become red. It's not like a glowing red light over them. Like those objects become red. And and you can turn it off. So if you're like a hardcore player who doesn't want to be shown,
he's got to guess.
Yeah, who doesn't want to be shown you're supposed to climb across that pipe and swing over to that thing and jump up on that roof. You can turn that off. But it's subtle and it's interesting. And what's really surprised me is it doesn't do it for you. In this modern age, you're kind of used to games helping you out and auto aiming you and auto correcting your jumps and pulling you up. No, this game doesn't. You will fall to your death all the time, but there's no real penalty for it. So you just come back and start again. And within the first few minutes, I kind of learned the language of this game, and it's unlike any game I'd ever played. It's very strange, but interesting. And the only problem is, it looks like a first-person shooter, and you can pick up guns and shoot with them, but it's not any fun because when she picks up a gun, she can't really jump anymore. She's super encumbered. It feels like you're playing a different character, and it doesn't help also that the gun models are horrible. I picked up a gun, and it looked like a gun from GoldenEye. I mean,
you shouldn't have to use them too often in the game, right?
Well, you don't have to use them at all. They're well, you can play this like Metal Gear. You don't have to kill anybody.
Yeah, I mean, that's why the guys who did the demo were grabbing people's guns and using them for a second and then throwing them down and going away.
Right. As soon as you pick one up, you're like, yeah, I understand why they're not using these guns because it's not that good.
So that's what worries me the most about this game is in an era where shooters are still the kings of the hall as far as everybody loves them and they're holding down the fort. If you have guns in the game where you can pick up a gun and play with it, doesn't the gunplay have to be pretty strong?
But this is not a shooter. At all.
But you can pick up the guns and play with them.
You can.
So doesn't the gunplay have to be pretty strong?
Yeah, I mean, if it's... I was just going to say, it could be a mistake to have guns in there. I mean, maybe, it'd be better because in some ways I think once you give people guns the option to do shooting, they'll do it because it makes it easier.
Right.
Whereas it might be more thrilling to never be able to use a weapon like that and always having to rely on her skills.
Yeah, and you can disarm people. There's some cool hand-to-hand stuff that looks really neat. And also the fact that
the disarming stuff is awesome.
Yeah, and the fact that the game takes place completely from a really strict first-person perspective, it takes a while to get used to that. And there's no HUD. The only thing that appears on screen is this little dot in the middle, and that's to keep you from getting motion sickness. Otherwise, you would.
That's what, really?
No.
Huh, I didn't know that.
I was just going to say, I don't think the gun thing is so bad if it's made clear throughout the course of the gameplay that you're not supposed to really use weapons or rely on them.
I think the fact that you can't really jump, exactly. Oh, okay, I'm not supposed to keep this
exactly.
with me.
So it is something where, if they teach you in the game that you're supposed to play it like those people demoing it were, where they pick it up, maybe use it once or twice, and then drop it. If they teach you that naturally in the game, then I think it'll be okay.
Yeah.
If you think of this as watching any of, especially a Jet Li sort of movie where there's always that music, he's jumping through stairwells, grabbing a dude's gun, flipping the gun around, blowing his head off, dropping the gun, sliding down the banister, popping a guy in the face with his foot, flipping over the next railing.
That's exactly what's happening here.
That's Mirror's Edge.
Well, and another interesting thing is they showed us 2 levels, and in both of them there were multiple paths you could take of different risks. So,
right.
If you're really good at the parkour,
awesome.
You can take this really short path where you're making these daring leaps and you're going to die, And the other level they showed us to reveal that it isn't just rooftops, because that was the fear. It's it's just a rooftop game. It was this crazy underground, how do they describe it?
Well, it was it's like the
tsunami storm drains underneath Tokyo.
That's what it's modeled off.
Have you ever seen
it's actually
pictures?
Modeled off of that.
That's what it is. It's this huge, deep, internal waterway thing.
Yeah, if you've seen that Land Rover ad where they're driving the truck through the underground sewer with the giant columns, that's where they are.
So
there's catwalks.
So it's a super complex jumping puzzle where you're running up walls and going up catwalks and going huge vertical level. So it's very, very different than the level they showed us. So there is some variety. Because we know the entire game takes place in this one city, But the visuals, very clean, stylized, futuristic, looks really good.
It really seemed to me to be sort of channeling the same sort of vibe as Ultraviolet. Did you watch that?
It's a lot.
Really had that feel to it with the between the runners and then her like talking to people over the phone or whatever, and them giving her the police are coming and they're coming from this direction or that direction, and telling her where to run to, and it just really had that feel to it.
I'm not completely sold on her character design still. I think she reminds me of Oni a little bit or something, but I definitely got a really great vibe from the game. I also found it interesting at EA, it was the only game that was being demoed on PS3. And I think it is lead skew, and they were talking how they're going to implement a lot of 6-axis balance stuff, which makes sense in this game because it's a game all about balance. So I'm curious to see how that plays out.
Well, it's okay. 360 will have a controller they can do that with.
That's true.
There you go. So,
but yeah, I came away very impressed. But I do fear that it's definitely not traditional. It's not a regular shooter, and some people might get turned off. But I'm excited.
I think that's the thing. Is how well does it cross over and be exciting enough that you forget about those parts that that would be compared to shooters, and you're like, oh, that's not so good. Is it so exciting? You're like, fuck it, I don't need that part.
And we haven't played it yet, but we just today got the new Kirby game for DS, which I'm excited about playing.
All right.
But I haven't played it yet.
Well, that's not really what you've been playing then.
That's what I want to be playing.
That's what you want to be playing? All right. Well, we'll get you there as quickly as we can. Why don't we take a little break, and when we come back on the other side, we'll do community, and we'll do a little quick E3. Stick around. We'll be back in a moment. All right, we're back, and it seems only appropriate that we begin this segment talking about multiplayer online gaming. So I got a thread from the boards here from Kuro Akazi, which interesting.
Why is it appropriate to discuss
multiplayer gaming?
Yeah,
because I was talking about Two Human. We were talking about Two Human in the break. Okay. They weren't here with us, but we were talking about Two Human and playing Two Human. So there you go.
You kind of lost me there.
If you had been a fly on the wall here, you would have heard us talking about Two Human in the break and multiplayer gaming. And so anyway. That's what we were talking about, multiplayer gaming. So Kurakazi's thread was, which by the way, noted at the bottom, their first went up posting over a year. I'm not really sure why they hadn't been posting for over a year, but
welcome back.
Nice to have you back. Was Call of Duty 4 and Halo 3, are they ruining online play? With Call of Duty 4 and Halo 3 somewhat having an advancement ranking, and in Call of Duty 4's case, almost RPG-like aspect to their multiplayer, do you embrace this new RPG first-person shooter hybrid model, or do you want to just lose without consequences? Do you think these rankings up encourage boosting or purposely playing in a way that is conducive to ranking up?
But you do still lose without consequences, but
not to fun team play. And if you were working on the next Call of Duty or Halo, what model would you want to implement?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Like in COD, if you lose, you still get experience, a little bit.
Exactly.
Right. That came up in the thread.
So there aren't really consequences.
I guess the only thing is like in Halo, I guess you could argue that to some extent there is, when you are like a number, you have the number 17 by your rank, and then you do really shitty for like 3 games, and all of a sudden you're a 14. But
right, because it takes you down.
Right, but in the end, I kind of like that though, because with the way that the Halo matchmaking, that you have it set up, all that stuff goes into competing who you should be set up with in your next game, and if it works, I'm all for it. The matchmaking.
Right, if it works. Like you play a lot of online multiplayer games, right? Do you play Halo 3?
Yeah, and I think Halo 3 is like the only game out there with matchmaking that works.
Interesting, because the argument that came up is that it works fine at low levels, but then this whole thing of boosting has ruined level 35 and above players, because it's all Jack. You're nodding, so you know.
Well, no, I was nodding because I'm not a level 35 and above player.
Okay.
So.
Okay. That was like the big argument that came up inside the thread, was that there was a ton of boosting. Let's see, Zap of Relief said that Halo 3 was a good game the first 4 months it was out, but then it just developed into a festering hole for small children and kids who play Halo for ranks, not for fun. Someone else said they were really familiar with who was it? Someone had their brother was doing account swapping, where he was trading people for accounts for 1 month free subscriptions. I guess he was constantly rolling over free 1 month subscriptions for himself by boosting people through COD 4 levels. I don't know.
That's enterprising youth.
Enterprising kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, Philip.
I guess.
What do you think?
Well, I would go the opposite way, and I think that this stuff is actually making online gaming more interesting. I mean, if you look at just how popular Halo 3 and Call of Duty 4 are, I think this is part of it, and I think it's bringing people back. It's making them want to keep playing. It's something that makes me more interested in playing these online shooters. Like me personally, I've played a lot more Halo 3 and Call of Duty 4 than I ever have of any online shooter on a console.
And is it because of that?
It's one of the elements. I mean, they're good games otherwise, but But that, in addition to it, just adds to my wanting to go back. Like, I'm like, all right, I'll go back and I'll gain a couple more ranks or whatever.
It's very true, especially in COD, where you get weapons based on your rank.
But
there's definitely been times I've sat... Sorry. Go ahead, Phil.
I was just going to add, I think I have a kind of a skewed perspective on it because, like, when I play these games, I play with friends always. I never go in and just play, like, a random match with people I don't know. So... I guess I'm like, even if there are people who we're playing against who are kind of being the normal Xbox Live idiots, like, I never notice that because I'm just playing with friends and having a good time.
Well, of course, dude. That makes a huge difference right there.
So I mean, I guess if there are these people who are just boosting or playing for rank or whatever, I don't even care or notice.
I guess River Below would agree with you to some degree. He says boosting is a complete non-issue, which I think a lot of people were like you're full of shit. It is an issue. But then his point was that let them boost if they want to, because if it's important to them, that's fine. Let them do their thing. It's not bothering me any. Went on to say that in Call of Duty 4 that you never go down in rank, which makes it good in games where you get clobbered. Like if you happen to fall into a game where there's a bunch of clan players who know how to play together really well, and they just beat you mercilessly. It's like you don't feel like you got totally punished because you don't drop and fall off like you do in Halo.
And if you get a couple of kills, you'll still get some experience.
Yeah, you still pick up some experience points.
I mean, the Ryan Scotts of the world who love boosting in their online games are always going to exist,
and they'll always find a way.
Yeah, but as long as you're having fun and you're playing with people you like playing with, that's what matters.
So that's really the trade-off. If you include some sort of system like this that rewards people for how they play in the game, in a multiplayer game, there's always going to be the people who want to go in and exploit it. There's always going to be people who are like, oh shit. It's almost an extension of the whole trophy whoring, Xbox Live achievement whoring sort of thing. It's like there's people who solely play their games and play their games specifically targeted to how many achievement points can I rack up. Like we watched Shu used to do that all the time, right? He'd be like, You're like, what the fuck are you playing that shit for? Or like King Kong, how many copies of King Kong were sold because you get 1,000 achievement points really quick, right? So if people are willing to devote hours to playing games to get achievement points, they're certainly willing to figure out how to juke the system and get whatever rewards are in there for the leveling system and all that kind of stuff. What else? I Am Kuma said that they liked the leveling system in COD4 because it got people to play different ways in the game if they wanted to unlock weapons, because how you unlocked a weapon depending on how you were playing the game.
Right.
So it actually gave you an encouragement to try and play as a sniper and do headshots, or as a close combat guy. Right. So it actually encouraged you to make your way, to stray outside of your comfort zone. If you're normally like an M4 guy or whatever, you would try new weapons and stuff.
Shane, does this stuff make you at all more interested in online shooters? Because I know you're not like a shooter guy, but I know that you do dig the RPG element.
I only play shooters with my friends as well.
Okay.
So what about MGO?
I haven't really had time to play retail MGO.
I really want to get into that. I keep forgetting that I have it and that I can go play.
Well, there were some new modes introduced this week. Right. I'm kind of waiting for even more stuff to get introduced because I know it's a moving target and they're going to keep adding more stuff. So it's not going anywhere.
No, but I mean, you jump in now and start earning.
I got E3 to worry about, dude.
All right. Last but not least, TJN1015 said, I don't think Halo 4 and Call of Duty 4 and Halo are ruining online play. In fact, I think these games are progressing the online world. Innovation is the key to staying power and replay value in online gaming.
It's a good topic.
Yeah, it's a good topic. So that's the topic is COD 4 and Halo 3 ruining online play. Should go check that one out on the boards. And just for fun, I pulled this one. This one is from Fatuous Waffle, which is pretty awful. Wow. Pretty awesome, by the way.
Yes.
This one's on strange gaming habits. So
we were looking at this before.
I was perusing this before we began.
It's fucking awesome, dude. It's so awesome. The crazy
Some of them aren't that crazy.
Some of them aren't that crazy, and there's the whole smoking line of smoking cigarettes. Well, that's not even a crazy
I like the one guy who you're about to read. His crazy thing is, I always say the word fuck the same way when something bad happens.
That's the way. Yeah, that's
not a weird proclivity.
Right. Really. So he says, I can't play a game leaning forward, which is contrasted by someone later who says they only can play that way. Sometimes I hold the controller over my head. I say fuck the same way every time something bad happens. I take a 10-minute break for every hour I play for improved stamina. Well, Kojima would be proud of him for that. Does he keep a light on too?
Improved stamina.
If I need to press a button fast, I relax my fingers and let my wrists do the work.
That's wrong. I'll tell him firsthand that's not how you...
Yeah, you've been practicing your button
That's not how you rapid button press.
When holding the PS3 controller, my forefingers and middle fingers go on top and on bottom of the shoulder buttons, and I click analog sticks to get a galloping type rhythm when on loading screens.
That was pretty. That's pretty good.
We want your strange ones right here.
That guy's very aware of his quirks.
Well, we were talking earlier about how some of our friends who don't traditionally cuss that much on a day-to-day basis will get Tourette's when they're playing.
They go fucking full-on Tourette's.
And Skip Fisher. Skip Fisher's one of them.
He does, doesn't he?
You were about to ask, does he? It's like anybody who's in the office has heard Skip at some point, especially when I started off and I was just a new intern and I'd just be sitting at the desk like, is everything okay over there?
And I was also admitting that, like, I swear a ton when I'm playing games. Like, it's just become, I don't know, in the last 6 months or so, it's become a really bad habit with me where when I'm playing, I just start swearing the second I have any problem. I don't know.
But this reminds me of one of my favorite stories from back in the NES days when I was a kid, and like we became such perfectionists. Like if you would die sometimes in the first level of a game, we would reset it. Like, I had my friend Scott who famously in Super Mario Brothers 2. Like, once you get past the first, like, the vertical scrolling part and you come out in level 1, the side scrolling part, the first thing you pick up is a big vegetable. And if he couldn't take that vegetable, throw it at an enemy, pick it up again in the air, and kill like 3 enemies in a row with that vegetable, he'd reset the game every time. I'm like, you are insane. Wow. But yeah, some people do crazy, crazy things with games. Like,
some people do crazy things with everything. Game's just an extension of that.
Bleeding Through says that they unplug their consoles after each use because I'm afraid of them being connected to a power source.
That's very safe.
Power surge.
Did anybody admit to gaming in the nude? Because there was that study in Canada last week where like 10% of all gamers.
I thought it was like half or something like that.
Apparently half of gamers in Canada game in the nude.
It's just how Canadians do.
That's
things.
how they do it.
TBD81 says I have to stand up to play guitar in Rock Band or Guitar Hero. On load screens, I flip the controller and catch it. Like a single backwards flip before leaving a game, I back the menus to the title screen before quitting.
I think you should get one of those like the ZZ Top like guitar belt spinner deals.
And I'll only play Hexic or Puzzle Quest once a week on Saturday morning while I listen to one of yours. So
that's a good one.
TBD81, I hope you're enjoying your Puzzle Quest this morning.
Do you guys? We should go around. Do you guys have any that you can think of offhand? I mean,
while you guys are thinking for a second, I'll tell you, like, two other subjects came up. Like, so first there was the smoking thing. There's tons of people who smoke. That's not a quirk. Although there were a couple of people who came up with some funny ideas for controller peripherals that Nyko could make to like hold your smoke while you're like playing games.
Ashtray.
That was pretty awesome. And then there was also the whole subject of what do you do to prevent from breaking a controller? Like, do you throw the controller up in the air and catch it? Do you like
this one I could
swing it around on the end of its like control wires? Yeah, I don't know the answer. I usually just break the damn things. It's like I've probably been through plenty. I started for a while. Like I used to throw them. I don't throw them anymore. What happens now is I get mad and I'll twist them, and then I can hear them crack, and I'm like, oh shit, that's another $40.
I've had those moments where I pushed buttons probably far too harder than I should have. You know. I don't know. I've never broken a controller.
I don't break controllers. I mean, a weird thing I do, and I've talked about it.
I heard one fly through Milky's office, by the way, the other day.
Yep.
Just the other day, Soul Calibur got him throwing controller again.
But while I play an RPG or a cold sept, a game that doesn't require a lot of input, I will play another game sometimes.
Well, I was
like at the same time I played that.
I don't know if this counts as a quirk or not, but I mean, clearly I'm a podcast fanatic. I love making podcasts, but I also love listening to them. And sometimes I will not, like, if I'm playing through a game like, let's say, Lost Odyssey, where I need to have the sound up so that I can hear the dialogue, sometimes I will choose to not play that game in order so that I can play something else with this, that I can play with the sound down so that I can listen to more podcasts while I'm playing. Because I just find it more relaxing to be able to listen to a podcast while I'm playing something.
I'm really particular with my hardware. I will always, before I turn off my machines, take whatever disk is in them out of it so that the drive doesn't just like stop with doesn't have a disk spinning free in it. I don't know. To like not burn out the motor in the disc.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Or something.
I was trying to think. I don't really know of any
bizarre,
like straight up bizarre. I mean,
Anthony's just like you guys are.
When I get home, sometimes I join our Vent server, and then I turn on my surround sound, and then I'll read or do something so that I know when anybody else gets in Vent. I can be like,
cool.
It's fucking on right now.
That's cool. That's actually pretty cool.
This friend of ours who used to host Halo nights over at his house, we'd like bring 4 or 5 televisions over there and like network everything together. He had this weird thing about like before anyone could start playing, you had to go wash your hands. Before you picked up one of his controllers, you had to go wash your hands.
Well, I also remember I would refuse to play Silent Hill during the day. I still believe in that. I believe horror games should be saved for nighttime.
I'm still
when I played through Condemned a few months ago, the first time I was like, all right, I'm only going to play this in the evening.
Yeah.
It was much more effective.
Yep.
All right, so I think there's room for many more interesting quirks to be put in there. So the name of that thread again was.
I want to come back to this one next week and talk about some more how messed up the people in our forums are.
Was it this folded one?
If you only play games in the nude, tell us.
If you only play games while listening to one of yours in the nude,
just don't post any pictures.
Strange gaming habits. Don't make us ban you with pictures. Strange gaming habits. That's the thread. Hop in there, Borzot1up.com. All right, so let's get on to E3.
Oh yeah, that thing.
All right, so let's rock and roll through this thing. Nintendo.
What about them?
How exciting is the press conference going to be? What's the big thing going to be? What's the most exciting thing that could happen with Nintendo? What's the least exciting thing? Is Animal Crossing really a done deal like we all think it is?
I think Animal Crossing is a very done deal.
Okay, so that's absolutely going to be, that's it.
Absolutely it's going to be there. But I think what it is and how ambitious it is, your guess is as good as mine. I think we could be really, really surprised or really disappointed. I mean, it could be another.
I heard you talking about it today in the office. I heard you were saying it was Animal Crossing.
Some
Herbs edition or something.
Some random asshole on a message board claims that the title of the game is Animal Crossing City Folks. And if that's true, that'd be a big twist because Animal Crossing is not about a city traditionally.
It wasn't. It was. He meant the herbs then, like Sim City.
Yeah, the herbs with a Z. I think that'd be a cool angle for them to take.
It worked out really well for the Sims.
Well. But yeah, so I think if Animal Crossing isn't there, then that's a stunner because they've all but announced it. Do
you think that they'll show off? They announced this week. We'll talk about it in news, I guess. Captain Rainbow. Do you think they'll show that off coming to America?
Captain Rainbow is so weird. Like,
it is weird.
I mean, if you haven't seen this game, it's this bizarre Japanese Wii game starring this fruity-looking superhero, and it has Birdo and a bunch of other like Z-tier Nintendo characters. I mean, like
the guy from Golf,
like the guy from Golf. I mean, and it's kind of fun. And Nintendo has this rich history of insanity to dwell on, so that's one to watch. But it's just so niche and so like out there that Nintendo would invest in these things. It's like another Tingle Rupees one.
I mean, I could maybe see it in like a Nintendo press conference as like a couple seconds flash on it in their montage video.
No, I think if they make a big deal out of anything, it's going to be Animal Crossing. I think they're going to make a big deal out of WiiWare because we really haven't seen first-party WiiWare, and I think there's a lot out there.
That I will totally buy into.
And, the rumored Kid Icarus game, that could be a WiiWare game, or it couldn't. If this Kid Icarus game ends up being from Factor 5, it ends up being...
Haven't there been rumors that there would be a new Kid Icarus game, like, for every E3 for the last, 10 years?
But this time, some real...
What are you talking about, Phil? What's your point? It's going to happen, man.
This time, some real Nintendo insiders are, putting it out there, like, they really think it's going to happen. And I'm just curious how relevant it is, and am I interested in it? Because as much as Kid Icarus has, this huge following, like, I was there in 1986 when Kid Icarus came out, and I thought it was all right, but it wasn't as good as Metroid, We'll see what happens.
I mean, I'm just because it's been so long, what is a modern day Kid Icarus game? We don't even know.
And who really cares about it? Yeah.
I just to throw in my 2 cents, I think that the only way I would be really, really excited about Nintendo's thing is if there's something that I'm just totally not imagining that they throw out that's going to please the hardcore gamer like me, or if they come out of nowhere and announce the next Zelda game.
Yeah, I think they could tease the next Wii Zelda game, and that'd be huge.
If that happens, I would be super psyched.
Well, see, I
don't know.
That was my next question: is how badly do they need to do something along those lines? Because there's a core pantheon of Nintendo characters, and they don't seem to have one right now. How can Animal Crossing carry that role?
No, but I think that if they say, for example, there is a new Zelda game for WiiWare or a new Metroid game for WiiWare or some
would that be sufficient?
I think so.
I would be.
They could sprinkle, here's some nostalgia, old nerds. You're happy.
So would that be do you think that would be like a more traditional
it could be a Mega Man,
side-scrolling.
It could be like
Metroid
a Mega Man 9, dude. It could be like a Metroid that looks like Metroid,
or a Link to the Past style Zelda game.
I think that's much more likely from Nintendo than actual AAA expensive looking updates of the game.
They have said that the Zelda team is back together and working on something, right?
That could be it could be a remake of Tetris Trackers.
It could be
which never
Luigi's Mansion 2 for WiiWare with using the Wiimote to vacuum ghosts.
People would go nuts. I think we're more likely to see like Wii Music or something like that, another really broad, or Wii Sports 2 or another game for the balance board. We also heard that possibly a Punch-Out developed by an American team for the balance board. We've heard that. There's a lot of rumors floating around out there from first-party stuff.
I would be interested in finally seeing some more on Wii Music. Like I was interested in that when they first showed it back when the Wii was announced.
But it was terrible. I mean, like
really?
the Wii Music that was playable 2 years ago to E3 wasn't even a game. Like it was nothing.
It was very demo-ish. It was very demo-ish.
But elsewhere, DS, people kind of overlook that, but I think Nintendo has a huge potential to have a lot of good DS games.
Get a new Super Mario Brothers 2.
I wish, man, or more Nintendogs, or
I mean, even like not even looking at first party Nintendo games. There's just so much coming out for the DS.
Let's not overlook what you just said. More Nintendogs. More Nintendogs. Like that game is just waiting to take the world by storm because they still advertise Nintendo. It's
sold millions upon millions.
I still see it in like the Sunday ad at Best Buy all the time.
Absolutely. It still rolls in like a juggernaut. It's still that game that everybody can pick up. It's still very much a game.
Do you guys think that it would be like a Nintendog sequel or more like new types of dogs like they've released before?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe, how about both?
Well, both. The other big thing is, what about a storage solution for WiiWare?
That could be nice. But I don't
that's a USB storage solution for WiiWare.
Yeah, I mean, it's hardware. It's not flashy. It won't catch a lot of attention.
I wish, but I would love it, but I would love it happening.
Why do you not see that happening?
I don't know. Like, I can't. Nintendo's been so reticent to do anything about the storage problem that I'm not going to get my hopes up that they're going to.
I mean, is it possible, like, through a firmware update or anything, to make it so I could have, like, a 4-gigabyte flash card and it could read games from the flash card?
No.
Is that possible? That's not.
You mean that technically, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, through firmware, could they make it
Maybe they could come up with a patch cable for the 64DD.
Oh, God.
I also think Nintendo's going to announce that they're publishing Fatal Frame 4 for America. I think that
really?
Because Tecmo isn't. So they're publishing in Japan, Nintendo.
Okay, that's interesting.
I think Disaster Day of Crisis is probably terrible.
I've been waiting for that one. I think
my theory, it's terrible.
It is the day of crisis.
Anthony's
that's my
heart.
theory.
Maybe we'll see some Red Steel 2. Do you think we'll see that?
Well, I heard the whole game got rebooted. That it could be ready to show. But I think people hoping for like the great hope, the third party game that's going to be amazing for Wii. Keep on wishing.
Well, wasn't there that one first person shooter? I heard people talking about it.
Conduit, the game that's allegedly looks better than Halo 3.
Conduit, yeah,
by High Voltage Software.
Yeah, I mean maybe they'll.
Maybe. I mean,
who's High Voltage Software?
They used to make wrestling games. I don't even know. They made Hunter the Reckoning is what they made.
Oh,
I mean, the screenshots of that do look better than most first-person shooter games for Wii, but I think people are, again, just like latching their hopes on anything that looks decent. Like the same people who are like, wait till you see Castlevania the fighting game in motion. Maybe you shouldn't wait. Like
having seen it now,
having seen it in motion, like, yeah. I think people are so desperate they want every game on Wii to be like the game for hardcore gamers.
Right.
I think it's going to be another E3 of disappointment for those people.
All right. So, not probably going to be disappointing, at least from the barometer I'm reading as a PlayStation 3 fans. Sony looks like it's in position to have a pretty good E3.
Well, I mean, we already know the first-party lineup of announced titles is enough to fill a press conference.
That's what I'm saying.
But we're expecting a lot of surprises. I mean, God of War 3 more or less got leaked that it's going to be there in some form. I would love to really see a real game. I think we'll probably just see a CG teaser.
Yeah, I think it'll be a teaser, absolutely. It'll be a sizzle reel of some sort.
Yeah. I'll still be psyched.
I would be too.
I can't wait.
Well, and we also know they've been sitting on like Trico, like the new Eco Team game, because people saw that back at GDC, like lucky people. But then I'm hearing again they might wait for TGS for that. So.
I think that would be one to wait. I think that would be one to hold for TGS. I mean, you got the God of War here, right?
It's an automatic home run for the hardcore. I mean,
isn't God of War?
Yeah, that too.
I mean,
just between that and showing more resistance in Killzone 2, it's like
there comes a point when you have to stop crowding the stage.
I really hope that they finally show some more Infamous too. I would be really excited about that.
I think Infamous will be there. I think that White Knight Chronicle will be there.
Oh yeah, White Knight Chronicle I would like to see too.
But I wonder just how many new games we're really going to see.
I bet that we'll see a few new PSN games rather than PS3 games.
Yeah,
like how last year they debuted Echochrome, right?
Right,
and that was really exciting. People were psyched about
that. I think The Last Guy will be there. And maybe more Pixel Junk Dungeons or something, that'd be nice. More iToy games. We heard, iToy Quest. I'm still excited about that. But Little Big Planet is also a huge focus because it's almost done. I mean, it's like it's almost done. So it's going to be.
They've shown Little Big Planet at like everything since it was announced. I just don't know how much more I could be excited.
It always shows well, and it's always fun to play. And there's
well, I mean, being friends with Alex, I can tell you, like, one of the biggest challenges they're having right now is ensuring that when they release the game, it's completely debugged, for what you create. And that's the problem, is you're building a game that has a wide open user interface for building whatever they want to in the game. So they have to go through all these potential permutations of what might someone try and do with this game that could break it, and then figure out if they can break it and make sure that it's debugged for all those things to work. That's a pretty tall order, and they want to make sure that when it comes out, that it works and that it doesn't break and that you have a good time with it and you do. And that, like, whatever you're looking at it and thinking, I wonder if I could do this, then you can just do it and you don't have to worry about it being a problem.
Right. Man, that is a tall order.
Yeah. And we mentioned, Killzone 2 and Resistance 2, but the question is, how will they show? Will they cancel each other out? Will they complement each other? Like, well, because the last time Resistance 2 was aired, people were kind of down on the graphics. I
think it's going to be dividing lines. I think it's going to draw a line in the sand somewhat, because there are going to be people who are really hype on the Killzone intensely detailed graphics and the whole cinematic visual presentation, and then there's going to be people who are more interested in the broad scope of the battlefield, the intense, like, obviously not always completely lifelike, but like really intense, vibrant colors and Resistance. And then the Chimera is a very dividing point there. People either like them or they're like, oh, it's generic aliens.
The reason that I'm more excited personally about Resistance 2 than Killzone is the idea in Resistance of visiting all these different areas in America,
right,
and like these different locations. I guess the fact that it's not quite up to the same graphical level as Killzone, but it still looks great.
But we've heard that they're going to show a new level, so we'll see. We'll see what it looks like.
Did you finish Resistance?
I did.
I haven't yet.
And so what do you think of Resistance?
I was totally not into it, but by the end of the game, I loved it.
I really like Resistance.
I
haven't finished it, unfortunately.
I really, really enjoy it. As a matter of fact, I've gone back and played it a couple of times in the last 8 to 10 months. Like, I played it a couple of months ago. I played it about 6 months ago, and it actually ages extremely well, which I think is a really good sign of a good game.
Yeah, when I played it, it was already 2 years into the PS3's life or something like that. Or
not 2, but a while.
We're very close. I haven't had a PS3 for very long.
Oh, okay, so you played it recently.
Yeah. So, and I really, really enjoyed it.
I'm also looking forward to seeing MotorStorm Pacific Rift, because I was disappointed. I was disappointed by the early stuff I saw, and I'm a big MotorStorm fan, so I hope it's come a long way.
Yeah, they were showing early builds of it, so it didn't have all the polish in it yet.
It looked early.
Yeah, it looked early. So it was cool. We got to see it. We got to see some of the environments. I don't know.
I'm a fan.
I know you're a fan. So here's the question: is that game on launch was really cool, but how well do those sort of launch pretty racer games weather when you're now 2 years into a console cycle?
I think what MotorStorm offered in terms of gameplay variety was really unique, and I've played a lot of other off-road games this year, and none of them come close as far as I'm concerned.
I would agree with Garnet here. I think that they're going to have to put a lot more in this one than they had in the first one, because it was almost like there wasn't enough.
They did put a lot more in the first one. It just took a year for it all to come out.
I guess so.
Yeah, but this one better be more fully formed when it launches.
So to draw the parallel, how many times have I had a blast with a brand new console playing Ridge Racer, and how many times have I had a blast playing Ridge Racer a year after a game?
Who's still playing any racing game that came out at launch with any system?
That's what I'm saying, is how well will just that sort of glamorous pick up and play, not very deep racing game work when it's not a launch title?
I think we'll find out, and I'm pretty excited. That's like saying, would anybody buy Wipeout XL? Would anybody buy Twisted Metal 2? Speaking of Twisted Metal,
you have to hit on all channels. One of the things, before we leave MotorStorm, one of the things that I would really, really like to see is I'd like to see in the levels the interaction with the level that you see, like in their teaser trailers, where interactive parts of the environments are happening. You've got trees falling, and it changes the layout of a track. Or
that would be awesome.
Yeah, like that sort of stuff.
I want a river of magma to cut off the track.
See,
what I want.
That sort of stuff would make that would make me really excited about it.
Magma, please.
Yeah. Okay, so you're going to say.
Back to Jaffe. What's Eat Sleep Jaffe up to? What are they doing? Are we going to see it?
I don't
know. It's been a while.
Guesses? What do you think?
Twisted Metal, bro.
Twisted Metal. I don't know.
But do I really care about Twisted Metal? Not really.
Well, Calling All Cars 2.
That would be your PSN. That would be in your PSN thing.
I'd be pretty excited. I liked Calling All Cars.
All right, so there's all that iToy stuff,
and then there's PSP.
Well, then there's
PSP, and I think we're going to see.
Is there PSP? Really?
There is PSP. There's Patapon 2 and Loco Roco 2 were announced, and Patapon 2 looks amazing. So excited! I love me some Patapon. So
I need to play Patapon. That's one of those games. That's another one.
That's sitting on my shelf right now, and I haven't even opened it.
It's another of my potential squadron mates.
The PSP is so popular in Japan. It has outsold Wii so far this year there because of Monster Hunter.
Well, I'm going to say Monster Hunter 2 is so popular in Japan.
But, that doesn't mean that the PSP, because of that, is very popular. And so a lot of Japanese developers are doing a lot of stuff, so I think hopefully we'll get to see more. And there's rumors of a Devil May Cry, rumors of finally seeing Gran Turismo here.
I was excited when I saw on Square Enix's list of stuff they're showing at E3 that both the Star Ocean remakes for PSP. I'm pretty interested in those.
And it looks like Dissidia is becoming a really full-fledged game. Yeah. So I'm hopefully that's hands-on here.
I was not at all interested in Dissidia at first, but the latest reports that are talking about how it does have RPG elements in it.
It has apparently more narrative than Crisis Core, which is crazy. Yeah.
So before we get out of Sony, you think there'll be any sort of hardware or technology-related announcements with Sony?
Not really.
Nothing, maybe anything on video downloads, partnerships?
Oh, yeah, the video store will definitely be there. I mean, that's all been announced.
I know it's been announced, but I mean, you think they'll have anything else new to add to it?
Anyone
going to guess there?
As of 2 weeks ago, none of the other studios had signed on to it.
Right.
So hopefully they have. Hopefully Disney or somebody has.
They got to be able to get some more buy-in.
If it's just Columbia Pictures, it's a limited repertoire.
All right. So I guess.
But I think we might also hear of a new PS3 SKU replacing the 60.
What do you think of the chances of us hearing about the next game from Naughty Dog?
Oh, I would love an Uncharted 2 teaser. Uncharted 2 set in India, allegedly. Yeah, I think that's also...
Is that the rumor?
Yeah,
India? Nice.
India. I think that's a distinct possibility as well.
If that happens, I would love, before she gets too busy, to have Amy in again. Because we did listen to the podcast, we had Amy heading on. Oh my God, she's so awesome. I'd love to have her back on just to talk about their pre-planning process and how they're formulating the design, the design documentation, all the stuff that's going to go into making a game.
Oh, and the big third-party things that could be at Sony's press conference would be a new Final Fantasy 13 trailer, We Can Dream, Dare to Dream, and a new Kojima Productions game.
Yeah. So. And there's been some rumors. I mean, the reason I was asking also about the hardware and that technology stuff is there were also some rumors floating around there might be some forthcoming updates to backwards compatibility. Nobody guessing there? Not going to happen anymore? You don't think it's going to be a big deal?
They've screwed that up pretty hard, so I don't know. We'll see.
You can leave that off as that's water under the bridge. They're just going to let it go, you think?
It'd be nice if they fixed it.
All right. So I guess that leaves us on to Microsoft and the Xbox platform.
Haven't they already had it?
It's already all leaked. We knew about that months ago.
There will be some surprises, but a lot of it has leaked.
I wouldn't mind seeing them finally showing Crysis running on console.
Do you think that'll happen?
Oh, yeah. They're definitely going to make...
But do you think that would happen at Microsoft's press conference?
Maybe. I mean, Crysis was...
Do you think it's exclusive?
Was a games for Windows
Do you think it's exclusive to Xbox 360?
It could be.
Could be.
I mean...
I would guess both 360 and PS3, but they could still end up showing it at Microsoft's press conference, certainly.
All right, so let's go through. What do you think the biggest leaks are then? What are the biggest leaks that you had? There's the memo internal from GameStop that has the information on the new hardware SKU
and price drops and stuff.
Are we going to talk about that in news?
We're going to talk about that. One thing that I don't have in news is the rumors about the motion controller and possibly tied into Banjo-Kazooie. They're denying it now.
Vehemently still denying that.
Vehemently denying it, yeah, very much.
So the long rumored motion controller, which you've been talking about for like a year.
The Newton.
Yeah.
Which, if that is not there next week, I think everyone will be stunned. Because
could it be, instead of being like an emotion controller, I was wondering, could it be
not an emotion controller?
That
would be way cool.
Instead of being an emotion and motion controller, a motion controller. Jesus Christ, a motion controller.
I think you need an emotion controller.
Could it be something like that you hook up to the headphone jack and that's where it attaches for the motion controls?
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking that it doesn't have to be entirely new controllers, just a peripheral.
But then they're making a 6-axis and not a pointer. I mean,
the teaser for Banjo-Kazooie that got everybody talking about this didn't it basically show the bird
shaking a regular controller?
Yeah, it was a regular looking controller, so that could actually very much be a possibility.
I think if it is just like a 6-axis clone, then people will be disappointed because people really expect a Wiimote clone with pointer and all that jazz.
I don't know. I could just...
and the other big leak was the avatars, the Mii's, they call them Me Too's, whatever.
We were joking about this 3 months ago,
right?
And it
sounds like
funny.
Another way to sell shit.
There's that, and there's the rumors of a whole new dashboard,
of a whole new 3D crazy Minority Report dashboard for the 360.
Yep.
I don't know.
It's plausible.
I mean, they wasn't there there's supposed to be a big dashboard update that never happened or something?
Right.
Like that?
There hasn't been one this year. Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So maybe they are holding back something for.
Yeah, maybe that's what they'll announce what they're going to be doing with that.
Also,
I think if you
Forza. Forza 3, the entire press sheet leaked like a month ago.
Right.
I bet that'll be there, I'm sure.
That'll be there.
If you go back and read between the lines on the PR messaging that they've had around the live, and especially around the live front end, they definitely acknowledge that the initial front end was kludgy, wasn't very friendly, and that what they've done to date was Band-Aids, so to speak, Band-Aids to fix within the framework of what they're doing, within the framework of what they had, Band-Aids to make it look and feel better for the moment. And the idea behind that, if you're doing a Band-Aid now and you're just doing little stopgaps, that means that ultimately you're looking to do something major to fix it.
Did you, Garnet, by chance get to check out, we put up a gaming culture article this week that was on this guy, just some random guy with a blog, but I think he does a podcast as well, and he did his dream redesign of the 360 dashboard. And he showed, the really interesting part to me was he took the current dashboard and he broke down the percentages of how much of it is actually used for the player, how much of it is used for advertising, and how much of it is just unused space.
Right.
And it was a ton for advertising and unused space.
So
his redesign was like totally based on making it more for the player.
Yeah, and they're going to still want to work advertising and do it. That's fine.
Of course.
I think they recognize that what they did originally was not what worked, but it had problems, and that they've done Band-Aid fixes to it since then. But if they've been doing Band-Aid fixes since then, I think that acknowledges that they've been working on, hey, we should really have a plan on how to really make this better. So, I would not put it out of the realm of possibility we saw an update. I don't think it'd be a crazy 3D thing.
All right, there's more Microsoft stuff. If Alan Wake is not there, I'll be very sad.
It won't be there.
It is my most anticipated Xbox 360 game. You really think it's not going to be there?
I don't think it'll be there.
That pisses me off.
I honestly don't think it'll be there.
We're going to talk about the next Bungie game in news. So
I think
we'll go over that.
Halo. Let's talk about Halo.
Okay.
How many Halo games will be announced and shown at this Microsoft press conference?
Grand total?
Lego Halo. It's coming.
So you count. So
we know Halo Wars is there.
Still out there, and
Peter Jackson's mythical Halo adventures that exists in some fashion, being made by Microsoft, not Bungie,
and maybe one more,
maybe
one more,
the rumored Bungie developed Halo game not starring Master Chief.
Lego Halo. I'm telling you.
Lego Halo.
I've always pictured a game that wasn't starring Master Chief. It would have to be I always pictured it starring those guys that are like the ARC Troopers or whatever they are, like the equivalent of the Star Wars ARC Troopers. You know what I'm talking about? They're always in black when you play the Halo games. They always drop in with the Master Chief, but they always fucking die. They're like
Master Chief just kind of comes through in the back. He's like, "Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling."
I'm gonna read. I'll unveil something shameful. If you've read the Halo novels, you would know all about these guys. They're like the crazy dudes. So I think it could actually be a squad based Brothers in Arms style game based.
That's
around
what you've
those
heard,
guys.
at least. That you've heard they're like. Well, from people who've read the book.
I've read Contact Harvest.
What about Fall of Reach?
I have not read Fall of Reach, but
I hear it's excellent.
Maybe for shit.
But maybe Bungie will have even a more surprising announcement. You think?
Oh, if you think they're gonna, I don't think that they're to a point where they're gonna start talking about their original IP stuff yet. Do you?
I don't know.
I think there is a chance that Bungie will announce development, multi-platform development.
Bungie needs to bring back the myth, the Fallen Lords.
I think they should
RTS
do
games.
a RPG for the DS starring Luke Smith, the Scarab Lord. Scarab Lord Chronicles. Pitching it to him now.
All right,
there you go.
More Microsoft.
There we go.
More Microsoft.
I would like to see them if they actually do show any games for Windows stuff. I would like.
Well, I was going to talk about PC in a second. I'll bring PC up as
well. There's
platform
more 360. Let's
okay.
More 360.
So we talked about PSN. They're definitely going to continue to focus on Xbox Live Arcade. I mean, they've bumped the download size.
Geometry Wars 2 finally.
Definitely going to be Geometry Wars 2 there.
Long last Geometry Wars 2.
And that's going to get people excited.
That's huge.
And I think you'll see many more. I think they'll keep on pushing that original title kind of stuff. The original content thing is going to continue to be a big thing for them. Oh, the lights don't go back on after 7. We have to go.
Yeah, we'll just be in the dark. It's all good.
We'll be in the dark.
Okay. Mega Man 9. I think they'll announce it for Live Arcade and PSN.
That actually got announced today.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
That's already announced. But back to Microsoft. I think they have a big secret weapon called XCOM. I think you'll be hearing about it.
Really?
Yep.
What leads you to that conclusion?
I'm very smart.
You are very smart.
XCOM.
Yeah.
Well, you see, that right there is just more reason that you won't see Alan Wake.
Alan Wake.
Alan Wake.
Alan is
He's judging it already.
He's not weak.
You know I'm hyped for Alan Wake. I mean, I saw Alan Wake 2 years ago in the ATI booth when it was just behind closed door stuff, and it was super cool. But I just.
You just made the deck for your review.
That
was it.
What?
Alan Wake.
Oh. I hope it's good. I really hope it's
it
good.
Is too.
I just think they've been very protective with it. And if you watch the way the marketing plans in games have started to evolve in the last year or so, they've really gotten on to much shorter runways. They don't have these 18-month launch windows anymore,
right.
Because what they found is that the games get delayed so often that it's just impossible to manage. You have all this hype build up, and then when you miss that window, you're screwed. So they're really doing this deal now, especially in these big games, wait until we're 4 months out, and we're really sure we're 4 months out, and then start building hype. And that game that's not an 08 game. It's an 09 game for sure.
Well, I mean, I think all the Halo stuff we talked about, a little pie in the sky. Maybe they'll tease it, but the big focus is going to be Gears of War 2.
Absolutely.
I think Gears of War 2 will occupy 40% of their mind share.
They're going to beat you over the head with Gears of War 2 like a sledgehammer.
Yeah, they're going to hit you with a chainsaw.
The other thing I'm curious about, last year at the Microsoft E3 press conference, they did a lot with Call of Duty 4. So I'm wondering if they'll have a big section focusing on Call of Duty 5 this time.
I think they'll have a big section focusing on Rock Band 2. I mean, anything that they're getting windows of exclusivity on, they're going to put in their press conference. So I'd expect to see that. I expect to see the Square Enix titles that they're doing, like Last Remnant, which has a window of exclusivity.
Oh, that's a good point. Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Those RPGs should definitely be figured into their mix.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. That's Microsoft. And then there's also the PC platform. Yeah, we're going to PC. PC platform was going to be interesting. I mean, we just went to the showcase week before last, which was going to be their E3, but then a week later I get an email from them that's like, oh, yeah, you actually should come. We're going to have another press conference. You want to come here? We're going to talk about live. So I guess now they're going to talk about Games Windows Live at E3, even though they said they weren't going to talk about it.
Is it free yet?
I don't know. Well,
it's free if you have a live subscription on the 360.
So it's not free.
Yeah. I would, man, if they really want to push games for Windows, I hope that they would finally show Crisis Warhead. Just even if it's a total vertical slice or a demo, to show Crisis Warhead and emphasize the fact that they've been streamlining it to run on all sorts of machines, so that people can finally get over that mindset that it's a game that is really not for anyone.
Yeah, and a few weeks ago, I erroneously reported that was coming to console. It is not. A different Crisis game is coming to console.
Yeah. But Crisis 4 it's still PC exclusive, depending on how it.
But I would not be at all surprised to see that there.
Though not PC exclusive any longer. How about Duke Nukem?
I would like to see it. I would love to see it. But
I'm actually interested in this one because last year I helped write up a top E3 rumors story that we posted, and my rumor that I was covering was, will Duke Nukem Forever show at E3?
Right.
Which it didn't, of course, and I correctly guessed that it would not, but I was sort of wondering the same thing for this year. It seems like they're getting closer. They've showed gameplay footage now.
I'm telling you, I think that they've been playing it around the halls in Dallas for at least the last 4 or 5 months, and they're just keeping it close to the vest because it's had so many fits and starts. But I think it's a fall game. I think it's a fall game for this year. And I don't know how well it's going to do. I mean, I don't know whether it's Daikatana or not. I can't tell. I can't tell you whether it's Daikatana or not, having seen it. I think it was on the Jace Hall show.
It was. I saw it on that.
Yeah. Okay, so how playable? What condition was what you saw on the Jace Hall show?
They showed very, very short, fast clips.
Very brief clips, but I will say it looked more competitive than I expected graphically. But I still find the subject matter to be laughable. laughable by modern standards.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's something that you talk about games aging.
I mean, the gameplay looked. I mean, it was really hard to judge because it was very quick
fast
clips, but it looked a little bit comparable to a sort of like a Half-Life or something. Like a narrative-driven first-person shooter through corridors and stuff. But I don't know. It's hard to say.
In the end, I think PC will actually have a fairly disappointing presence at E3, which I think is too bad because I think there's a lot of exciting things coming out for PC in the next year.
Well, in part the deck's stacked against them because Activision Blizzard's not there, which means that StarCraft 2 won't be there, Diablo 3 won't be there. They've already been shown, they've already been announced. So as far as E3 presentations, you're missing 2 of your big stars.
Right.
Which sucks.
Well,
not to mention. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, not to mention, I sincerely doubt that smaller games like Stalker, Clear Skies will be there, or a lot of the smaller foreign developers who are making games. I mean, maybe Fallout will make an appearance, but I mean, if it makes an appearance, it'll probably be a 360 appearance rather than a console. A PC.
Fallout's definitely making an appearance.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying it won't be they won't be emphasizing it on the PC side.
You know what? Actually, I mean, that's actually nothing new. Bethesda's been pretty clear already that I mean, they're putting Fallout 3 out there as a console game first.
Well, and one last thing. Today it was announced Ubisoft's big secret E3 title. Which is being custom made to be the new Assassin's Creed, the new talked about crazy
Good and
awesome
Evil 2.
game.
They're going to finally show gameplay?
No, this is called I Am Alive. It's by Darkworks, and they've attached young Jade Raymond as the spokeswoman.
Young Jade Raymond. I'm pretty sure, isn't she like your age?
I have a question for PC stuff. I mean, it was rumored like a few weeks ago, and it turned out that the website reporting this was completely inaccurate. But do you guys think that it's possible that Half-Life 2 Episode 3 will show up? Because that would be a huge PC story.
It would be huge, but I don't think Valve has any reason to show it. They don't need to.
They're really rocking Left 4 Dead right now. Left 4 Dead looks really good. They're going to have a great presentation with Left 4 Dead. There's no reason to steal thunder from it.
Would it be EA's prerogative to show it at E3?
No, dude, EA doesn't tell Valve what to do.
Okay.
I mean, they have a good partnership and they work together on stuff, but I don't think anyone's walking into Valve.
If Valve shows anything, it'll probably be like another trailer for like another class, like introducing this class, and it'll be and we're announcing 2 more Team Fortress classes that are getting redone. Yeah. I don't think we'll see Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
I mean, there are other games that could steal E3, like a BioShock 2 teaser could steal E3.
Or a Portal 2 teaser.
Yeah.
Portal 2 teaser could steal
those are definitely dark horses that could come out of nowhere and grab some attention. All right, so end of the road for E3. This is it, right? This is the last one we're ever going to. Right?
We'll see.
Come on.
I think a lot of people hope that.
It feels like the last one.
If
it's not E3, it'll be something else.
It's my first one, so if it is the last one, you guys can say I killed it.
Don't you blame Phil?
It's my 12th one.
All right. It's all Phil's fault. So we'll give you a chance to redeem yourself. We'll come back in just a minute. We'll do the news. Right. And Phil can redeem himself by knocking it out of the park with the news. Yes. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with that. All right, we're back and ready to do the news and ready to get out of here because the kid's got a potential date. So
date.
We gotta get him rolling.
Chuff Love. That's the segment on GFW where I update everyone.
Chuff Love. All right,
my favorite segment.
All right, so take it away, Phil, with the news.
Besides news, which I also love. This week, our news is pretty much all game announcements because there have been a lot of new game announcements before
Tis
E3.
the season.
Exactly. So we're going to go over them, starting off with Square's first iPod game, which they announced and released this week out of nowhere, titled Song Summoner, The Unsung Heroes. They announced it Monday and released it Tuesday. It's working on, it's $4.99 on the iTunes Store. And it works for the iPod Nano with video, iPod Classic, and any 5th generation iPods. The other interesting thing about this, it's like a strategy RPG game from what I've seen, and you actually use songs in your iPod to create Toon Troopers who fight for you.
It's like Monster Rancher.
It's totally like Monster Rancher. So what I want to know is if it's as addictive as Monster Rancher. Because Monster Rancher, you get to the point where I wonder what would happen if I put this in. I wonder what I put this in.
My friend used to do that for hours with every CD he could find. It didn't matter what it was.
Me too.
Yeah. We're waiting on a review now. Okay. There will be a review of this. I'm actually really excited to see it. It might be the first game I buy for my iPod.
For $5, I might just throw it
I don't even play RPGs, and I'm totally.
I hear it's a little lightweight, but then again, it's $5, and you can put MP3s in it.
Exactly.
All right.
Very cool.
That's too lightweight for you, but maybe you'll be excited about Brave, A Warrior's Tale.
I was really excited when that came out on PS2 a year ago. Can't wait for the new version.
360, Wii, and PSP.
I'm waiting for that.
That's a platform combination made in hell.
I'm just waiting for that game to end up like on one of our future top 5 features that's like right in there with like racist games. You know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure it's about Native Americans.
That's what I'm saying.
It is starring a young Native American warrior in a quest to save his tribe from a demonic threat.
Yeah.
Released originally on the PlayStation 2, as you mentioned. This is going to be a reinvention of the game that takes place 70 years after the original, and you play it as a flashback.
So it's the same game, but sepia-toned.
Yes, and it's going to have new content, graphical improvements, and console-specific gameplay, which probably means waggling.
How did that make the cut to be in the news segment?
Just like I said, it's game announcements.
I'm curious.
That's in the game
did the announcement of Ninja Breadman 2 make your list?
Yes, that is.
Okay, good.
No,
I don't
apparently, Brave was actually well reviewed.
Wait, are you kidding? There is a Ninja. You're not talking about Ninja Breadman.
No, I'm not.
Well, they announced.
You two both just fooled me.
Well, so DDI, the makers of like all the worst Wii games you ever heard of, like Ninja Breadman and Anubis 2,
and
Barry Hatter. They announced like 20 new games.
Isn't Anubis 2 like there was never a first one?
Right.
Okay.
They announced I believe 10,
makes it cooler.
They announced 10 new games for Wii today, including Ninja Breadman 2. But what's really amazing, they announced their own Mii's, which is called NUYU, N-U-Y-U. And like the interface looks exactly like the Mii interface. But like, so that you can use these.
Is this like a WiiWare game?
I'm not making this shit up. You can't make this shit up.
You cannot make this shit up.
Game
and how much do you want to bet that bullshit sells better than Zack and Wii or Boombox?
So yeah, watch out for Ninja Breadman 2 this fall, where you can use your NUYU in it.
Oh my god!
Wow.
All right, here's one I am really excited about: Hell's Kitchen. Hell's Kitchen video game.
I'm very not excited about this.
You don't like Hell's Kitchen?
I thought you loved Hell's Kitchen.
I love Hell's Kitchen.
I enjoy Hell's Kitchen.
It's my guilty pleasure.
But I've recently lost a lot of respect for Chef Gordon Ramsay, and I've definitely lost respect for Ubisoft when I saw that this game
Why have you lost respect for Chef Gordon Ramsay? Does he need to swear at you more?
It's a long story.
We'll talk about it later.
It involves a book he read by another chef who basically took the piss out of him.
Precisely.
Okay.
But
we'll talk about it later.
Hell's Kitchen, you might have seen it if you watch Hell's Kitchen, because there's a commercial for the web-based Flash version, which is the same game as this.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
It's coming from Ubisoft for the Wii, Nintendo DS, PC, and Mac, coming out in September. And they had a quote from Chef Gordon Ramsay. He said, "I had a great time doing the voice for my own animation." He sounds so pleasant in this quote.
It's rated everyone, so there's no cursing. And it's basically just Diner Dash.
That's
basically.
awful.
Yeah.
I had a great time doing this game, yes?
Yeah.
I don't know what that was.
I'm not one who supports Flash-based games on consoles.
Okay, how about Thunder Force? You fan of Thunder Force at all?
I'm such a huge fan of Thunder Force. The Thunder Force 6 rocks my world. I'm so excited. I wish it was also on other platforms besides PS2, however.
Anthony,
what the fuck is Thunder Force, man?
Thunder Force is a very long-running series of traditional space shooters.
Oh, I thought it was helicopters.
It started back in 1983, and their biggest game, or at least their first big game, was the second one on the Genesis in 1989.
Do my button presses per second matter in that game?
Yeah, and I think the series actually peaked with Thunder Force 3 also for Genesis, but Thunder Force 4, a.k.a. Lightning Force, is underrated, and Thunder Force 5 for Saturn and PlayStation is
Force.
Pretty damn good.
Well, apparently this one is supposed to be very similar to Thunder Force 5. It's coming out for the PS2. It's coming out soon, apparently, in Japan. And it's being developed by an internal group at Sega headed by Tez Okada, who also worked on Sega Gaga,
which was awesome. He also worked...
And Astro Boy.
Yeah, Astro Boy for GBA, which was also awesome.
Yes.
I think it might be better if it had Thunderbird vehicles in it. Now, that would make it good.
I'm so excited for Thunder Force.
It's coming out October 30th in Japan for 6,000 yen, which is about $50, $55.
For the PlayStation.
Today.
The PS2.
Yeah.
No U.S. release date.
$55 to the PS2? Okay. I lost all interest with that.
Maybe they can port it to PSN and Xbox Live.
Are any of you guys a fan of Elebits on the Wii?
I thought it was okay.
You're going to be getting a sequel for the DS that doesn't really look anything like the Wii version.
When does this news section stop sucking?
Thunder Force 6 does not suck. Shut your fucking mouth.
I told you, I'm doing all the new game announcements. Elebits 2 for the DS.
All right, Elebits 2. Next.
It's a top-down, it looks like Pokemon Ranger, top-down 2D action RPG. Looks like Pokemon Ranger. Very strange.
And you're going to be able to use the Elebits to solve puzzles, freezing water, levitating rocks, that kind of stuff. Sounds a little Zelda-ish. Sounds kind of like it could be interesting, maybe. Sounds, I don't know. I haven't tried out the Wii version, but I'm interested. And then here's the PSP ones you're excited about. Loco Roco 2, finally confirmed, and we get details on it.
50% less racism.
You can go underwater in this one.
Oh, well.
How about that?
That's... You have nothing more to add than that? Like, all the background information you had on the crappy games, and you get to Loco Roco, Jew, and you're like, you can go underwater.
Get to the Patapon.
They didn't really say much about it. They just said, hey, we're going to add new stuff like going underwater and biting ropes.
How do you feel about the fact that they're already talking about a Patapon 2?
I'm so excited. It has co-op, has aerial units. My fucking God.
We're to Patapon 2. They have an explanation for why they're talking about it so early, actually, interestingly enough. who is Kotani, who's worked on Hiroyuki Kotani. He says, I'd like to get people playing this as quickly as possible. People really liked the game when it debuted, and I don't want people forgetting about it if we disappear for too long. So basically he's saying if we don't rush out the sequel, he's afraid that they're not going to be able to make one because people will forget what the hell Patapon was.
Okay.
And as Shane mentioned, the really big update to this is that they're adding 4-player co-op multiplayer.
Amazing.
And this is really, I think this is awesome. Apparently, this is how the co-op is going to work. This is their description from Famitsu. You're occasionally going to come across giant eggs, which contain helpful items. And in order to hatch the eggs, you have to have multiple players navigate to them and then do a tribal song beat ritual thing together all at the same time.
Yes.
Whatever happened to Daigasso Band Brothers?
The new version for DS just came out last week, was the #1 selling game in Japan, and hopefully is coming to America.
When are we going to get that game?
I mean, there's licensing issues with some of the music and shit, but I would like for them to bring...
Okay, so make the right music that works for the American market. It's a fucking cool-looking game.
I think there's a chance we'll see that at E3 for America.
I would really... That would make me happy. You know what? Like, not to go back to the E3 segment, but I would really like to see that game.
Oh, also back to the E3 segment, the rumored Lips, a karaoke game by Innis for 360 is completely real.
Ooh, real?
100% real.
Ooh,
okay.
That's hot.
Heard it here first.
That's hot, too.
We also have Nintendo announcing their new Wii game that we mentioned earlier, Captain Rainbow.
Have they said who's making it yet? Because it really looks like a Skip production. The guys who made GIFPia and...
well, that's the thing is, like,
Chibi Robo.
It's been compared to GIFPia. It's been compared to Animal Crossing also, but they haven't said who's making it yet. It also has some comparisons to Beautiful Joe because there's, like, a 2.5D, like, fighting segments in between, like, the walking around town and helping people solve problems.
With Captain Rainbow and Birdo, it's been compared to, like, you know, tranny hookers in the Castro.
Well,
you're not a Birdo fan, I take it.
Birdo's he's a transgender. Everyone knows that.
Anyway.
Okay. I guess
he is.
Everyone knows that.
Everyone knows that.
I was trying to find a Birdo cosplayer for the picture for that story. I couldn't find a good image. Google image search let me down.
Wow.
All right. We do not have a release date yet for this game, but apparently they're posting lots of new info on the Nintendo channel in Japan, and we did have a trailer come out that you can check out. I think it's on Game Videos.
It is. It's embedded in the news story.
It's pretty bizarre.
It's 70% Birdo talking.
What?
For real. Have you watched it?
I haven't.
I have.
All right, move on.
All right, we mentioned Jade Raymond's next project, I Am Alive. I don't know if you guys want to talk about this a little more. GameKio reported on Thursday that, it's going to be shown at E3. It's not going to be a playable demo. Being developed by Darkworks. They formerly worked on Cold Fear. I don't remember if that was any good.
Cold Fear was a semi-proficient Resident Evil 4 clone set on a boat.
On a big boat.
But it definitely wasn't enough to inspire you to think, well, this game is going to be automatically amazing.
So what's really interesting about their announcement is it's not going to be playable at E3, but they're going to do a 20-minute long video or something like that. Did you see that? It was like on the website that had the original leak on it. Now, what's the thinking behind that?
I think it's going to demo really well because it's, as he's about to explain, it's a first-person adventure where you're trying to escape. What city is it? Chicago, which has gone through an earthquake. Yeah, right. So it's
they're calling it a survival game rather than a survival horror game because it's not going to focus. It's going to have a low emphasis on weaponry, sort of like Mirror's Edge we talked about.
Right.
It's going to be more about just kind of trying to escape these environmental puzzles. And
so far, sounds really cool.
See, I think this 20-minute video with added extra Jade Raymond is the perfect way to demonstrate this game because you can show a really scripted, directed, linear level that you're not touching that looks really awesome, but then you wonder, well, what else is in this game?
It's going to be supposedly they're planning to release it in spring 2009 already, so it's not even that far off.
Again, back to that thing, like runways for game marketing have gotten much shorter to handle the movement and the titles.
Yeah, but this game does have really positive buzz.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. It's good. I mean, the fundamental idea, if it's a first-person game without a gun in your hand and you're going to do other stuff, cool. About damn time.
I mean, if Ubisoft can pull this off, like you said, like positioning it as the Assassin's Creed, where there's just tons of buzz around it, and sell another new IP as well as they sold Assassin's Creed, that would be amazing for them.
They have the record is hit and miss because they successfully manufactured a AAA game with Assassin's Creed, but they unsuccessfully did it with Haze.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
We'll see what happens. And then, of course, as we mentioned, we have Bungie teasing something coming at E3 on their latest podcast. We had Luke Smith and the Bungie community lead Brian Gerard dropping vague clues. They said there's going to be something on July 14th, which just happens to be the same day as the Microsoft press conference, of course. So, I don't know. Do you guys think it's a new game? Do you think they're just messing with us?
I think there's a lot of people who want to believe it's something big, but that it might not actually be more than like a first look at. It could be something as simple as more information on the next map pack.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, it really could be something that straightforward. It'd be like, hey, we've got some really cool game modes to go with the new map pack, or we've really developed this whole the next map pack is more than just a map pack. It has added game mechanics to it, or a new weapon, or something like that. But I think if you're hoping for it to be like, well, here's this game and we're
Halo 4
8 months away from making it or whatever, then that ain't happening. That ain't happening.
I mean, I mentioned in the last segment, I think Bungie could announce multi-platform development. Not specific games, or not even when they're coming out, but just the fact that they're doing it. That would be huge.
So what exactly were the terms of their release agreement with
those
Microsoft?
terms have never been made public, but it is understood that they owe Microsoft some number of titles before they have complete control over their independence.
But I mean, you're absolutely
exclusive
right.
Titles or not necessarily exclusive? Is that I guess that's the question.
It's unclear.
Yeah, I guess
I'd imagine they're exclusive.
There's every reason to think that with the amount of income they've generated off the Halo titles, that they could have a studio that's large enough to have multiple projects at the same time running.
And I believe Bungie's like a sleeping giant. Like they, as soon as they're out of the yoke of Microsoft, they want to be on the level of like a Blizzard or a Valve and like an industry leader. And I think they can remind us of that, even though they're still possibly under the yoke.
Yeah.
Same time, when you've already done all that engineering on the 360 box, it's pretty easy to fall into that and do that. You keep working on that platform because your technology guys are all really comfortable with it.
They start out as PC developer. They're not like tied.
They started off as a PC developer, and that was a while ago. That was a good long while ago. They've been Xbox guys for a long time. I'm just saying, you get familiar with the hardware. You really know how to make it work. You know how to make it do what you want to, so you're not fighting the technology, and you can do your development.
Hey, when they announced Pimps@C for WiiWare, don't be surprised.
Okay, moving away from some of the new game announcements, we've got Activision joining the ranks of EA Sports and Ubisoft. They've announced a new Wii exclusive
brand. God, this is the worst name of a brand ever.
Wii First.
But not spelled WII, mind you.
Yes, it's a 1 and then ST. Capital S.
I thought it was Wii WE. Is that not true? Someone told me.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It is Wii because it means like little kids first. Yep. Wii first, like piss first. Piss before you come. That's what it's saying right there. Like, not that. Like piss before you leave. Yeah, edit that out. All right.
I don't know if we got that.
Doesn't Anthony have a date to get to?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so this is going to be their consumer-friendly lineup of games for Nintendo's console. The first games coming out for it are already going to be out this holiday season.
Surprise.
Little League World Series 2008.
Will also be written in Flash.
Rapala Fishing Frenzy, and this is my favorite, Dancing with the Stars, Get Your Dance On.
Oh, baby.
The kids are going to love that one.
Do you also have the Tecmo's announcement of Wii Spray?
I do not. That was just today. Isn't it just spray? I thought it was just spray.
Just spray. I like calling it Wii Spray.
I mean, neither sounds really good, but
they say Wii Spray, Wii Pray, all sorts of good games coming out.
We've got the big rumor that Microsoft might be announcing a new SKU very soon for their Xbox 360. According to an email from Microsoft to GameStop and Blockbuster leaked to Xbox Family, there's a new 60 gigabyte version of the 360 coming out that's going to be they're going to phase out the 20 gigabyte premium pack, and this is going to basically replace it. The leaked email says that there's going to be a standalone 60 gig hard drive that's going to be $100. And that's also going to replace the 20 gig hard drive. And the 120 gig hard drive is going to drop from $180 to $150, which is still way too much to be charging.
Yeah. Well, and they're also saying that this $100 hard drive comes with some incentives, like free months of Xbox Live.
It's got a 60 gig hard drive, 3 months of Xbox Live, a wired headset, and an Ethernet cable. But that's also included with a Pro and Elite.
True. Because especially the way they have it packaged, I can see them thinking of it as like what they're calling it, which is the Xbox Live upgrade for your arcade pack. So you get a hard drive, you get the headset because you don't get the headset.
Wow, only $100. What a bargain!
I know, it's such a deal.
I'm so glad I bought that.
Yeah, I still think the hard drive situation for Microsoft continues to be a problem and will continue to be a problem as long as they can't decide whether to make them super expensive or accessible.
All this talk of hard drives made me forget a really, really, really big part of Microsoft's press conference: the GTA downloadable content.
You think it's going to be there?
It better fucking be there.
I have to.
How much money did they spend for that?
Yeah, even with it being delayed, it better fucking be there.
I guess I'd totally forgotten about it.
It better be there, and it better be pretty fucking spectacular, or otherwise they're going to have spent a lot of money on a
nothing.
Yeah,
I heard it's Vice City
on a bag of beans.
That'd be nice.
It'd be pretty amazing.
On the subject of hard drives, real quickly, we talked about the problems with the firmware last week on PS3. Quick side note: the connector for if you actually have to do someone wrote me in with this correction. If you actually have to do the wipe of your hard drive, it does not have a laptop connector; it has a SATA connector, so it's actually not that hard.
Oh.
The hard drive form is the laptop size, but it's actually pretty easy to hook up to your PC. So it wasn't as difficult as it made it out. So you can use a SATA connector.
Finishing up this Microsoft hard drive or new 360 rumor, with all the leaks coming out, I was really curious about what's the deal like. Are the leaks affecting the way that Microsoft operates at all? Are they changing their E3 plans? So I had emailed some people there. We got a response from Heather Snavely, who's Microsoft's PR Director of Global Platforms. She just said, of course, we can't comment on rumors, but she said, what I can tell you is that our plans for E3 haven't changed. We've got a lot of exciting news. The truth is, rumors will always be a part of our industry. It's just one more sign of how eager gamers are to learn how we'll innovate next. So they're not letting all the leaks. They're not even concerned with it, apparently.
Well, think about what the Microsoft press conferences usually look like, okay? So in addition to games, they always have a lot of other things that tie into it, the media center stuff, the video downloads, all those sorts of things. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see the Netflix partnership that people have thought about
that
for forever.
Would be fantastic.
I mean, I think it's become even more compelling for them if you look at how fast the set-top boxes that Netflix had sold out. It's 3 weeks. 3 weeks, and their SD little set-top box sold out. The prospects for both sides here are like it's a win-win for everybody. It's like, okay, we've talked about it, we've joked about it, we've rumored it.
Which also brings me back to the rumor that third-party 360 hardware could be revealed. Possible.
And I would not be the least bit surprised to see that happen as well, because then, it opens up the door to different hard drive sizes, particularly large hard drives. For instance, if you're going to do this, downloadable service and you're going to do it in HD, suddenly you need a lot of storage. So then you have, swappable drive bays, all those sorts of things. And you say, oh, well, that's what they're making. We're still making the console, but if you want to go that route, there's that alternative.
If there's going to be an alternative, though, then they're going to have to start lowering the price of their hard drives like that. If there's going to be other alternatives out there for people to buy.
Yeah, I agree.
So we'll see what happens. Of course, the final big news story this week, One Up News blog.
The One Up News blog. Yes.
And I suggest people go check it out, news.oneup.com. Basically, now you can go look and see all of our stories just right there in a row. You don't have to click on separate links. It's really nice. It looks great,
too. Very nice.
And
we've been planning this for a while. I'm super excited. Everybody who's involved with the news, all of our freelancers are super excited. Even Garnett's excited. He doesn't get excited about much these days.
Well, I'm a blogger now. That means I can get away with whatever I want, right? I mean, bloggers, we get away with hell.
You can be sassy.
I can be sassy.
Speaking of sassy.
Yeah. So we have all kinds of upgrades coming to that, by the way. I mean, I've already had a lot of people responding to it. Yes, we know that our RSS feeds are very pedestrian. That's one of the things we have slated in one of the first upgrades. We wanted to get this piece, since we've been working on it for a long time, out there.
And we wanted to have it out before E3, so that now... when you go to oneup.com and you want to see our E3 news, it's going to look so much nicer, and it's great.
You were going to say?
I was saying, speaking of sassy, look forward to lots of sassy comments on our live blogs from next week's press conference.
Oh yeah, I'm actually looking forward to live blogs, and then we're gonna do shows next week. Mr. Pfister will be back from Wisconsin, where he's been enjoying cheese curds and beer and Brewers baseball,
and the revival of Brett Favre. And
we'll get more from him on that next week. We'll be doing shows on for sure Tuesday and Wednesday. I think we're also going to try and get together a Thursday show. It's really weird with the way the show's set up this year. It's not. It ends on Thursday, so it's not going to the end of the week, but we'll have daily shows for you. We'll have details for you on the blog for that. Until then, boards.oneup.com for Shane, the date man, Anthony over there. He did a good job today. A little quiet, though. You got to jump in a little more.
It was a pleasure. Yeah, I'll try.
You got to jump in a little more.
You got to ease into it. It took me a while.
I thought as a debut performance, he was, more assertive than young Kolar here.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
I was shy that first time.
You were dumbstruck by Dennis Dyak's brilliant.
All right. And for Phil, this is Garnet. Thanks a lot. We'll catch you next week. Until then, we are Ghost.